Just a Rinnegan? That's not enough. I want the Tenseigan too. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 126. The more Yuanjie looked at it, the more strange he felt. What's going on? The Zhou family has so many more breaths comparable to God in 10 days? Really? He suddenly thought clearly. It must be that mysterious potion, otherwise, in a short period of time, it is impossible to have so many more strong people. Brother, I solved her. Good. Yuanjie nodded towards the 1,000 paper cranes on his shoulders. Finally, he flew over the mansion of the head of the Zhou family, and then used his white eyes to use the heavenly hand power at a long distance. A corpse with a hollow chest fell from the sky. Bang! A huge sound startled Zhou Qianayu. Suddenly, something inexplicable smashed into the side of the bed. Ugh! The man screamed, as the dead Zhou family god was wide-eyed and admiring their improvisation. Zhou Qianayu kicked him out of bed with dissatisfaction, put on a little coat and got up. This is, Li Hong. Her shock was no less than that of a man, except that she did not pee. What's going on? Someone killed the Zhou family? Tonight, the Zhou family lost a mid-level god, and the loss is not small. Zhou Qianayu hurriedly let the Zhou family enter a state of emergency. But at this time, Yuanjie had already left with Xiaonan. After he returned to the villa, he felt that the matter was not so simple. First of all, he didn't know exactly what the side effects of that fortification potion were. If the introduction of the potion is a good thing for Daksha, then if you blindly eliminate it, wouldn't you be a sinner? Second, although he was probably sure that the potion was flowing from the Zhou family, he had no substantial evidence. Moreover, the potion should have been circulated to the territory of Daksha from the outside, and how it came in, and who is pushing behind it, everything is unknown. In the final analysis, you still need to get a bottle of strengthening potion first, and you can start better after the ingredient test. If there was really a problem with the strengthening potion, then Xiao organized a destruction of the Zhou family for Xiangxing Dao. If you can be a good person, why do you have to be a bad person? Being an enemy of the world is a light way to say, but it's not just you who affects you, but your family and friends. The enemy of the whole world, except for a few people, will stand firmly behind you. No one else will understand you. Are you uncomfortable? After the Xiao organization destroyed the 8 small families in Jingchang before, they were hung on the internet, accusing them of lawlessness, and many netizens with relatively simple minds believe their nonsense. The post continued to ferment, and in the Great Xia dynasty, a very terrifying heat was formed. Word of mouth in the organization is polarized, with supporters and opponents quarreling online. Immediately afterwards, Li Qing quietly arranged a wave of water armies, posted the bad things that the 8 families had done over the years, and even interviewed the survivors, which extinguished the opposition crusade and saved a wave of reputation. The prestige of the Xiao organization among the people is now much greater than that of the original academic and royal families. Many secular people are looking forward to it, which is the next family that Xiao will be destroyed. There are even fanatical fans, according to blurry photo, hard-cost Xiangai in black robe. Soon, the only designated clothing of the Xiao organization quietly went on the market. Triggered a private rush to buy, 30 million units sold in just one day. This clothing brand God's Dawn was founded by the Yu family. The Yu family, who is very business-minded, arranged for Yu Manghan to call Yuanjie the day after the post was sent out and told him about it. At that time, Brother Ji was stunned when he heard it. Good guy, never expected that Xiao organization would one day become a brand. Jute sold peripheral products. Through negotiations, Yuanjie reached a friendly cooperative relationship on behalf of Xiao organization and the Yu family June 4th division. The Xiao cloak sold by the Yu family is still different from the real version. The real costume is 5 red auspicious clouds, and the folk version launched by the Yu family is 6 auspicious clouds. Seeing that Xiao robe was so popular, Yu Meng'an quickly contacted Yuanjie, hoping that he could design more products. So, our brother Ji also carried the protective foreheads of the characters in the fire shadow. Another big sale. Although the Zio organization of this world does not have a horn capital, Zionan can also use the detonation charm without scruples, and Brother G has money. In just 10 days, Yuanjie got 1,000,000 gold spirit coins from the Yu family, and his eyes widened. 2 more days passed, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 groups of people appeared at the Kuei chanting pier outside the city. Did you get the goods? Pay with one hand and deliver with the other. One of the parties threw the space ring to the other party, and the man leaned in and counted to confirm that the number was correct before opening the suitcase. There are 5 S-grade enhancement potions in the box. At this time, the leader of the Zhou family's side suddenly rang his mobile phone. Message: there is an inner ghost to terminate the transaction. After he saw it, he immediately showed a fierce light in his eyes and immediately asked people to close his suitcase. He took out his weapon, pointed at the small family team opposite and scolded, "Are you actually 2 or 5 boys?" At this time, a burst of fire burst into the sky, lighting up this pier completely. The little family was originally stunned, and when they saw a few people wearing Zio robes descending from the sky, they were immediately shocked. Ha ha ha, try my shot, 5-finger missile. Ajuradeo Li Wenyu licked his lips, separated his wrist and arm, pulled out a string of missiles from the coat in his arm, and shot straight towards the small family. On the other side, the Zhou family, who were fleeing, were stopped by a white-haired boy. It was Brother G. Yuanjie slowly stretched out his right hand, and the horse boy who took out the suitcase flew towards him uncontrollably. He gently twisted the horse boy's neck, threw it casually, and opened the suitcase, where 5 green medicine bottles lay quietly inside. Kamui, he threw his suitcase into the Kamui space. Then he pressed his finger and made a gagging sound. Give you 2 a choice, commit suicide, or be killed by me. The Zhou family was still in shock, and before they could answer, a cyan figure teleported onto their faces. Yuanjie kicked a lead with a flying kick, then jumped up and kicked the 2 of them away, and then used the Vientiane Sky Guide to pull the 2 back. He grabbed the hair of the 2 men with both hands and snapped, their heads collided together, life and death unknown. He didn't even look at it, threw 3 kunai backwards, and accurately hit the 3 people who fled behind him. Kuwuso took Amaterasu, and soon the 3 were engulfed in black flames. Yuanjie slowly approached the person who took the lead step by step. Originally, it was just a small transaction that thought it would be foolproof, but the Zhou family did not send a master, and the one who led the team was only a fusion realm cultivator. And this time, there happened to be an accident. Yuanjie grabbed the man by the collar and lifted him up, and a spatial vortex appeared behind the man. It's the way of the world. Human Dao condescendingly put his hand on his skull, closed his eyes, and instantly Yuanjie received a memory about a strengthening potion. It turned out to be just a little sluggish. Kill it. Yes, Lord Tendao. The right hand of the human path was lifted up, and a soul was withdrawn. Chapter 127. The battle at Aoi Chanting Pier was soon discovered. By the time the strong man of the Zhou family arrived, the building was already empty. Only a deep pit was left on the ground, and several breathless corpses. Abominable. Who the hell is it? Even our Zhou family's goods dare to move. The Zhou family was angry and destroyed this pier. Yuanjie returned to the villa, took out a bottle of strengthening potion, opened his eyes and looked carefully. The potion contains a large number of microorganisms. The composition is unknown, and it does not look like a good thing. I can only wait for tomorrow to hand it over to the dean. Let him take it for testing. Okay, finish work, sleep. As he lay down, a hand suddenly reached out. I blanch. Brother G shrank in fright. Why did Zionan run to my bed? Bed? Brother G is a serious person, so he had to return to the Shenwei space and find a random room to sleep. Li Wenyu, squeeze, Azura said, lying on a bed with Ajuradeo. Yuanjie looked up at the ceiling inside. It seems that there are still too few rooms in the Shenwei space. Find an opportunity to move another one back. On the other side, the Zhou family was shocked. Zhou Qianai was called out in the middle of the night, and after hearing the report of her subordinates, she suddenly lost her sleep. What? You said that 5 enhancement potions were stolen? This is an S-grade enhancement potion. Each one sells for 50,000 gold spirit coins. To be honest, not small money. The point is, who exactly took it away? Could it be the National Mansion or the Desolate Six Dao? Zhou Qianai immediately suspected them, especially the royal family. Because according to what the masters saw, there were traces of the battle left by thermal weapons at the scene. Under this day, except for the royal gang who has thermal weapons. Who else can have it? When Yuanjie destroyed the Ning family, except for the Yu family, no one else knew about the existence of the Ajuradeo. The national government should not confront the family head-on. They don't dare, then most likely it will be done by the academy lackeys. After Jokai thought about everything, she smashed the chair with a furious palm. And then fell a butt. Master, we found Xiao Wu's mobile phone at the scene, and there was a message on it. The subordinates did not see the scene just now, and waited for Jokai to stagger to his feet before speaking. Huh? Jokai took the mobile phone and immediately noticed the content of this message. There are inner ghosts. Her eyes were dangling from side to side, and her brain was constantly running. She didn't go to find out the inner ghosts one by one, and simply killed all 35 people involved in this transaction. Of course, the master did not kill. Afterwards, she reacted, and she instructed her subordinates, quick, find out who sent this message. Therefore, there are many inconveniences in this world's real name system, and families with skills can know who it is as soon as they check it. What Jokai didn't know was that this message was actually sent by Yuanjie. He secretly left the Flying Thunder God mark in the major families a long time ago, and tonight he randomly selected a lucky friend. As a result, he came to the Huangfu family territory. He opened the blur, crossed the door, and walked to a certain elder's room. This elder is an old antique, and he actually uses not a smartphone, or a black and white mobile phone with buttons. However, this is also convenient for Yuanjie to unlock. Just press to enter the mobile phone homepage. He ticked out a quick message and sent it to the mobile phone of the leader of the Zhou family. Finally, through a few more Flying Thunder God marks, teleport back to the Aoi chanting pier. Tonight, Yuanjie actually planned for a long time and deliberately engaged in a mission impossible. The purpose is to give them a big surprise. As it turned out, the surprise was really big. So big that Jokai was scared. The next day, Jokai listened to the report of her subordinates. Home Lord, our people have investigated the ownership of this mobile phone number. It is. The subordinate was a little hesitant. Who the hell is it? There is something to say quickly, and there is a fart to release quickly. It's from the 3 elders of the Huangfu family. What the? Huangfu Jiren was also involved in this matter? Jokai suddenly had one head and too big. She couldn't figure out why this message appeared. Why did the 3 elders of the Huangfu family know about this trading operation? Could it be that their Huangfu family already knows about our Zhou family's behavior of selling medicine these days? Who is the real inner ghost? A series of questions plagued Jokai, and she couldn't figure it out after thinking about it for a long time. In the end, she chose to stand still. At present, although the strength behind the Zhou family has steadily become the first in the family, the master is unknown. She was worried that if she rebelled, she might be surrounded by other families. After all, now that Huangfu Gongyan, the alliance master, has done something, although it has made the small family dissatisfied, the behavior style is still very in line with the overall interests of the big family, and there is no fault in it. Therefore, Jokai can only sulk, but helpless. In addition, she also had to watch out for the Huangfu family's interference in strengthening potions at any time. After this lesson, if you trade in the future, you must arrange for 2 scouts to squat in the shadows to prevent this kind of robbery from happening again. The next day, Li Tiansha pushed open Brother Ji's door as usual, intending to call him to get up. However, when she saw Xiaonan on his bed, she silently closed the door. After Yuanjie came out of the room, Li Tiansha had already made all breakfast. Before Brother Ji put down his bold words, saying that he would make breakfast in the future, but he was driven away by Li Tiansha within a few days, thinking that he could only fry tomatoes, and he was very disgusted. Yuanjie just came out. Xiaonan also came out after a while. She was hazy, yawned and shouted good morning. At the dinner table, Li Tiansha looked at Yuanjie playfully, and his tone was a little wrong. Was it comfortable last night? It's okay. It's just that someone is snoring too loudly. Li Tiansha looked at Xiaonan in surprise. He couldn't imagine that such a quiet girl would actually snore. Still loud? The specific and detailed process, she didn't ask more. She felt that she shouldn't be curious, but she just had a little bad taste in her heart. Brother, what time did you come back last night? I didn't even see you. Xiaonan asked with a bun in his mouth. I don't know what time I'll be back. Oh, Xiaonan didn't ask much. But Li Tiansha thought a lot. Did there really not have something happen last night? No, aren't they brothers and sisters? How can it be? I must have thought too much about myself. Li Tiansha quickly shook his head and threw away the bad idea. However, another strange idea came to mind. It is said that most of the large families are intermarried in order to have pure blood. As a woman, Li Tiansha's sixth sense is very keen, and she has always felt that Yuanjie seems to be a little different from Yuanjie. So, SSS plus SSS equals SSS, the rest of the things, she didn't dare to think about. Chapter 128. If Yuanjie knew that she was so cranky, he would definitely knock her on the head. He is now pure in mind and has let go of his past life. At present, he only likes this girl in front of him who looks exactly like the skull flower he had a crush on in his previous life, and is confident and strong. Of course, there are prerequisites. Yuanjie, who has crossed over from the era of harmony, is actually not very able to accept some systems in this world in his heart. In the past, he was a little overwhelmed, and if he came again, it would be difficult. Therefore, this is why he probably knows that Wang Qing and Yu Meng'an seem to have some interest in him, and he still keeps his distance. There is no royal succession in the family. Why do you want so many wives and children? One is enough. When Yuanjie saw Li Tiansha staying there, he ordered her a bowl with chopsticks and shouted, "Hey, hey, what do you want?" Li Tiansha only eased down, she brushed her hair, and avoided his gaze in a panic. She really thought too much just now, and she was actually thinking about who to be a sister with and the ultimate question that she could accept. She wasn't sure about her feelings for Yuanjie, probably like it. From childhood to adulthood, the person who took the most care of her was Yuanjie. She had always felt an inexplicable dependence on him, but when she thought about the possibility that they might become that kind of relationship in the future, she was confused and scared at the same time, and she always wanted to escape. It turned out that she regarded Brother Ji as her own brother, and she had never thought about that aspect. However, when Yuanjie revealed his liking for her, she was at a loss. She was afraid that after refusing, the relationship between the two would never go back. Said that she was a family for the rest of her life, she didn't want to leave Yuanjie, but she couldn't accept the change in the relationship between the two for a while. After such a long time, Li Tiansha seemed to be used to it. Otherwise, how can it be considered a family without being registered in the same household registration book? Just when she gradually accepted Yuanjie's liking, she suddenly broke into Xiaonan, allowing her to hide her heart back. She saw herself in Xiaonan. At that time, she was also so clingy to Yuanjie, she couldn't wait to hang on him 24 hours a day. So the question is, what is the relationship between Brother Ji and Xiaonan? From Yuanjie's mouth, she probably knew that he might be the reincarnation of Xiaonan's dead brother. That is, before the two were related, but now, no. Who dares to guarantee that Xiaonan suddenly does something excessive in order to stay by Yuanjie's side all the time? No woman wants to give her beloved man an equal share among others. People are selfish, and Li Tiansha is no exception. It's just that she is a native of this world, and she may have a higher acceptance of 3 wives and 4 concubines. That's why she just thought that she could accept whoever was her sister. In fact, Li Tiansha thought so much, fundamentally speaking, it was in vain. She ignored Yuanjie's thoughts. Yuanjie only has feelings of pity for Xiaonan, feeling that her life is very pitiful, and her ability and body appearance are somewhat similar to the Hokage Xiaonan seen in her previous life, but her personality is different. He really doesn't have much thought, he's really a serious person. Brother, I'm done eating. Xiaonan Yuanjie smiled. I'm done too. Li Tiansha cleaned up the table in a panic. One does not pay attention and knocks the ceramic bowl to the ground. She was inattentive and scratched her hand while picking up the debris. Yuanjie quickly ran over to check, and then took out a bottle of recovery potion and dripped it on the wound. Am I stupid? Li Tiansha lowered his head and said. Yuanjie poked her forehead and said, even if you are a big fool, I still like you. The words fool made Li Tiansha suddenly think of something. If you are an F-grade physique, will you not be worthy of G's SSS-level physique? The so-called positive is positive, positive and negative is negative. In the future, she and his child will most likely be like themselves, big fools. Reality was already dragging him down so much, and she really didn't want to drag him down anymore in that kind of thing. So, she refused Yuanjie's support and stood up herself. Yuanjie Fei Thunder God came to the door of the dean's office, and he suddenly appeared, startling Fang Yu, the dean of the 6-Dao Academy, who came to ask for cigarettes. Classmate Yuanjie, you are still so stormy. Yuanjie smiled and nodded, as if he had said hello. He really didn't know who the other party was. Please come in. Yuanjie pushed open the door, and Fang Yu followed behind. Dean, I got a magical thing here, you should be very interested. Saying that, Yuanjie put a bottle of strengthening potion Shenwei onto the dean's office desktop. Li Qing picked up the bottle of green potion, looked at it for a long time, and then handed it to Fang Yu to see. His expression was very serious, and he asked Yuanjie where he got this thing. I snatched it last night from a deal between two gangs, two guys. Li Qing and Fang Yu raised their eyebrows at the same time, surprisingly consistent. Yuanjie nodded and said, that's right, one side is the Zhou family, and the other side is a small family. Dean, do you know what this thing is? Li Qing stared at the green medicine bottle in Fang Yu's hand and pondered, and said a word for a long time. If my guess is correct, it should be the enhanced potion produced by the Flying Eagle country. Over the years, Li Qing has been quietly investigating the strength of foreign countries and taking precautions. He is no stranger to the Flying Eagle country's possession of this thing. Oh, when Yuanjie heard the 3 words of the Flying Eagle country, he immediately thought of a certain country in his previous life. Dean, do you know what side effects this fortification potion has? Li Qing shook his head and said, how do I know? It's also the first time I've seen this thing. He added, however, since it is something that changes the sky, it must have a price, but I don't know how big the price is. Your bottle, I will accept it first, and I will give you a reward when I turn back, and I will go to the palace to find your majesty first. After Yuanjie heard this, he couldn't help frowning. He didn't expect that Dean Li Qing would have such close ties with the royal family. After that, I can't show everything in front of the dean. What exactly is the character of the royal family, he does not know. At present, he only sees the weakness and incompetence of the royal family. In order to consolidate his position, he condones the family's misdeeds and treats the lives of ordinary people like grass. Yuanjie's first impression of the royal family was very bad. After handing over the enhancement potion, he took his leave. Fang Yu, who was good at observing words, shook his head and said to Li Qing, teacher, you shouldn't have mentioned the royal family just now. Brother Yuanjie seems to have a very good opinion about the royal family. Li Qing smiled indifferently. It's okay, if I were him, I would also have this thought. I'm different from him in that I'm no longer young, he's still young. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129. On the way back, Yuanjie pondered, was he too sensitive? In fact, put yourself in the shoes of the family. The power of the royal family today is really not enough to fight the family. It really pushes the family to hurry, and there is not even the power to fight back. But, is there really no way to fight it? No. Even if your royal family chooses not to conflict with the family, but your public servants have to be assessed, right? If you look at the city lord of Jianghu City, it is precisely because of the existence of poisonous tumors that the K family is lawless in Jianghu. After killing millions of people and killing countless civilian families, the state government was stunned and did not say a word, which can no longer be explained by instigation. It's a dereliction of duty, a big dereliction of duty. Jianghu City is only a county-level city that is not even a third tier, and the K family is not even a family. It is such an environment that is not a big thing, and it can actually make the K family do evil for nearly 100 years. Moreover, he only knows the bad things done by the K family. What about the other wealthy families in Jianghu City? Will there be good officials like Jiang City Lord in other cities in Dexia? If Yuanjie really saw the emperor of the great Xia dynasty, he really wanted to ask him personally, have you ever taken care of your subordinates? Thinking of this, Yuanjie's view of the royal family deepened. After Li Qing bid farewell to Fang Yu, he came to the palace and asked to see His Majesty. The middle-aged man put down his pen, did not wear shoes, and personally went to the door to welcome Li Qing in, and his posture was very in place. Ai Qing, what is the matter to find Zhuan? Li Qing took out a bottle of green potion from his pocket and placed it on the table of the imperial study. His face was very bad. This is produced by the Flying Eagle country. I don't understand how it came to Daksha, huh? The middle-aged man's eyes were puzzled. Your Majesty, you really should check the composition of the public servant. The middle-aged man sank his face, his expression very displeased. After taking a breath of turbid breath, he said, "Ai Qing, this matter will be strictly investigated, and I will give you an answer within a few days." Li Qing continued, "In addition to checking, I also need to borrow someone from your Majesty. You don't have to mention it. Trouble your Majesty to find 2 death row prisoners. Ask for a man. I will test it myself." The middle-aged man hesitated, and it would be contrary to human ethics to do so. However, he soon figured it out and asked the head of the East Palace to take Li Qing to death row to select someone. After Li Qing left, he looked out the window in silence, without saying a word, not knowing what he was thinking. Li Qing selected 2 male death row prisoners and personally escorted them back to the Wasteland Academy. Then, he contacted Fang Yu, the dean of the 6-Dao Academy, and brought several teachers over. Over the next few days, he will need to participate in experiments to figure out the side effects of the potion. Yuanjie was just about to return to the classroom when his phone rang. "Hey, Miss Rain, is something wrong?" A Oreo-like laugh rang on the other end of the phone. "What's wrong, Yuanjie? Can't I find you if something happens?" Yuanjie coughed twice and replied, "It's not impossible. It's just that I'm busy. Understand and understand, busy people, we understand." "Then if there is nothing wrong, I will hang up first." "Wait a minute, Yu Menghen is very speechless, and he is not a fairy. Does he need to avoid me like this? If she is really a leprechaun, is she also a leprechaun? Tonight, I want to invite you to my house as a guest. My mother has something to discuss with you." "What do I have to do to go to your house? Is it bad to say it on the phone?" Yuanjie narrowed his eyes. He felt that this meal was not simple. It was likely to be a Hongman banquet. Yu Menghen said softly, "Yuanjie, you also know that virtual things are sometimes not very safe." "Understood. See you at 7 tonight." Yuanjie immediately interrupted the call. He still plans to go. Maybe the other party says something that interests him? At the same time, he also wanted to test the Yu family's opinion on the strengthening potion. Yuanjie walked to the door of the classroom, but found that only Xiaonan was inside. "Brother, are you back?" Xiaonan turned into a piece of paper, floated to Yuanjie, and happily held his arm. "What about them?" Went to the simulation training room. "Then why don't you go?" Yuanjie was speechless. Xiaonan narrowed his eyes and said, "I'm waiting for you." Yuanjie looked a little helpless, and he said slowly, "Xiaonan, in fact, you can have your own life. You don't have to wait for me all the time. I don't want it. You don't want to drive me away." Xiaonan pouted and hummed, "I've been lonely for 100,000 years, and I finally met you again." Yuanjie looked at her expression and felt a little funny. "Are you lonely? You have obviously been sleeping deeply, and when you wake up, you have been in the sea for 100,000 years. Then I was alone in my dreams." Yuanjie, can't say enough, don't try to reason with women. When Yuanjie and Xiaonan came to the simulation training room together, Li Tiansha watched her hold his arm, and his eyes darkened. Some classmates sighed. "The relationship between the brothers and sisters is so good, it's really good. We all slept together." Li Tiansha thought so. This lesson is a simulated battle to test the student's ability to leapfrog levels. The teacher looked around at the group of Xianjiao standing in front of him and asked, "Who comes first?" "I'll go first." It was Xiaonan who spoke. The classmates of an elite class have never seen Xiaonan make a move, and when Yuanjie was practicing before, she simply did not come to class, so she accompanied him to practice together in a small villa. Therefore, the students are very curious about how high her combat power is. Isn't he an SSS-level genius? It should not be much worse, and it is not a big problem to casually cross 1 or 2 orders. The teacher nodded, and she asked Xiaonan, "What level of opponent do you want to challenge?" "Great Evening Realm, 9th Order, I'm so fierce when I come up." The teacher frowned. Confidence is a good thing, but confidence is too conceited is not a good thing. She asked again, "Are you sure?" "Okay. Teacher, hurry up and arrange." "Okay." The teacher arranged a F-level physique opponent of the 9th Order of the Great Late Realm on the system panel. She thought, let's not hit Xiaonan's self-esteem, then arrange the weakest Great Night Realm 9th Order. However, even if it is the 9th Order of the F-level Great Late Realm, the level is not bad. And it has reached the strength of a low-level god. Of course, Dean Li Qing was a very rare existence. Who would have thought that a most garbage physique would actually become the third highest god? Xiaonan stepped into the fantasy realm, and her expression was very cold at the moment, changing from the sunshine girl of the past. When the opponent's phantom appeared, she gradually rose into the air, and her lower body directly turned into a piece of paper and left her body, and behind her, condensed into a pair of angel wings. Chapter 130. My goodness! What kind of physique is this? Can you still play like this? Leave Ruzu like a wooden chicken. Don't say it's her. The other students have numb scalps at the moment, and even the teacher and Li Tiansha are stunned. This, Li Tiansha's shallow throat surged down, and it took a long time to squeeze out 2 words. Is she a human or a paper? Feng Ming's brows twisted together. Rao is a well-informed teacher, and he is not calm at the moment. This kind of physique is unheard of, unseen, even in ancient books. You can't find the answer, except for Yuanjie, all the students gasped. This scene shocked their young hearts beyond words. Really, the SSS-level physique is more perverted than the other. First there's Yuanjie's magical eyes, and then Xianan's strange body. As for Yuanjie, not to mention, she can condense the legendary spirit object into substance, and give the spirit object spiritual intelligence, and she can ignore the distance, ignore the parasitism of space in any spirit object, and transform into shape anytime and anywhere. Paper rain. From the huge angel wings behind her, sheets of paper floated out, and at the same time, the white paper turned into sharp arrows and shot towards the phantom of the 9th order of the Great Evening Realm. The paper arrow penetrated a virtual opponent densely, and in less than a second, the phantom could not withstand the attack and became a bubble. That's seconds? My god, how much is her cultivation? The 9th order of the Great Evening Realm actually couldn't last a second in front of her? Doesn't that mean that she has reached the realm of God? Xiaonan's cold face showed displeasure, and she frowned. It's too weak, it's only F-grade physique. Then, her eyes glanced at the teacher. The teacher was aware of it, and immediately on the system panel, he adjusted his physique to A level, and once again summoned a phantom of the 9th order of the Great Late Realm. A-grade physique, it shouldn't be seconds now, right? Xiaonan used this trick paper flower rain again, and after 5 seconds, the phantom disappeared. Teacher, why are the students of this class so difficult to teach? One is more perverted than the other. The teacher had no choice but to adjust the phantom's physique to S-grade again. Half a minute later, the phantom died. Xiaonan Liu's eyebrows wrinkled slightly, and she asked strangely, why won't the other party fight back? What? Do you still want him to return the hand? The students are stupid, they have never seen such an arrogant request. The teacher had to explain. This simulation test is mainly to test the upper limit of your attack power and count everyone's explosive combat power. Got it? The SS-level Great Late Realm 9th Order Phantom appeared, and Xiaonan did not hide it, and directly threw it all over. She gently raised her right hand and took out a large amount of white paper from the part of her hand. Then the white paper transforms into a dart, and not only that, but the dart also rotates at high speed. Countless darts and sharp arrows filled the entire virtual space in a moment. Feeling the powerful attack power inside, everyone was stunned. Other students asked themselves, if they hit themselves, I am afraid that they will not be able to hold out for a second, right? However, the defense power of the 9th order of the SS-level Great Late Realm was still very strong. And it took a full minute to be broken. This simulated phantom specially selected the physique with the strongest defensive power. The purpose is to test the attack ability of the students. If it is placed in actual combat, Xiaonan fights the 9th order of the Great Late Realm with SS-level physique. I am afraid that it will not be used for a minute. Is there no SS-level physique? Everyone was stunned. The teacher shook her head. She adjusted the phantom to SSS-level physique, and secretly filled its attributes. She wanted to see what the upper limit of Xianan's true strength was. In the virtual space, Xiaonan felt the oppression brought by the phantom. She squinted her eyes, and the white paper on her body separated more. Paper flower rain, paper blowing snow, paper darts. Xiaonan threw out various skills at once, and countless weapons transformed into white paper were all shot at the phantom. And that's not all. When the paper touches the phantom, even every piece of paper is an initiator. Bang bang bang. In the virtual space, there is a steady stream of explosions. SSS-level physique is really difficult to beat. Xiaonan spread his wings and flew towards the phantom. One by one, the white paper was driven up and passed through the phantom. When Xiaonan approached the phantom, he instantly emitted an explosion 10 million times more violent than just now. Is this nothing? The scattered pieces of paper reunited into the appearance of a girl with short blue hair. 20 seconds? Is this her all-out blow? That's outrageous, right? It turns out that every piece of paper on my body is a powerful bomb, too strong, right? I'm well read, and it's the first time I've heard of such a perverted physique. The teacher confirmed the time again, and she flipped it, and her heart swelled. Good fellow, this has broken the record of the desolate ancient academy for 10,000 years? And it directly improved by 30 seconds. The future can be expected, the future can be expected. After seeing Xiaonan's perverted injury, no one dared to underestimate her anymore, and everyone was convinced. Because it was Xiaonan with an SSS-level physique who made his debut, few classmates behind him were embarrassed to go up and give ugly. Yuanjie took a deep breath and said slowly, "Since you are all not on it, then I will come, another monster hitting people?" Xiaonan came out and ran towards Yuanjie bouncing, wanting to get his praise. Yuanjie touched her head with a smile and didn't say anything. When his sister is stronger than him, he is indeed very happy, but the problem also comes, his strength is not as good as his sister, and his heart is still very stressful. After the teacher saw Yuanjie enter the virtual space, she asked, "What difficulty do you plan to choose? The ninth order of the Great Evening Realm?" The teacher was stunned for a moment. "Your sister is a fifth order existence of the Great Late Realm. She naturally has no problem choosing to fight the ninth order of the Great Late Realm, but Yuanjie, your strength of the seventh order of the Fusion Realm, you want to challenge the ninth order of the Great Late Realm?" However, she didn't say anything, she had just been swollen by the punch in the face. The teacher still chose the F-grade physique at the beginning, not because he did not look down on Yuanjie, but the normal process. Yuanjie did not take it lightly, and directly opened the 8 doors of Dunjia, and green water vapor appeared on his body. Immediately after the fairy art opened, he changed his voice to the white-haired boy. Finally, the 6 modes of the third stage of the white eye were turned on, and cyan flames burned all over his body. Suddenly, his figure disappeared in the eyes of everyone, and he punched out. Phantom took a step back, and Yuanjie continued to keep up with the attack. He wanted to test where the limits of his physical skills were. Finally, a blinding laser shot out from the palm of his right hand, directly shooting through the Phantom. 10 seconds. Chapter 131. This? The squad leader has not yet made a 100-meter giant, and this fail? Relying on physical skills, you can hammer a 9th order Phantom of the Great Late Realm to death in 10 seconds, it's terrifying. Hey, haven't you forgotten that the squad leader is a physical SSS level? As soon as these words came out, everyone reacted. Yuanjie is really a physical system. However, his skills are too unimaginable, causing most people to subconsciously ignore this aspect. A physical system is not only extremely physical, but also has long range and invincible skills, which, the more the students thought about it, the more they were afraid. After the teacher got Yuanjie's signal, she immediately pulled the Phantom's physique to A level. This time Yuanjie did not hide it, he directly turned on Susanoo. Draw your bow and shoot arrows. A black bow with a touch of earth-like insulation struck towards the Phantom. At the same time as the violent explosion, the blue giant swung his sword at the same time. The terrifying sword ki permeated the space, and everyone couldn't help but shrink their necks, for fear of being slashed by the sword ki. 10 seconds, another 10 seconds. How is it so strong? You know, the A-level physique is 20 times higher than the F-level physique. However, Yuanjie's record is still a little weaker than Xiaonan's 5-second kill. But you have to do a horizontal comparison. Xiaonan's own cultivation is the 5th order of the Great Late Realm, while Yuanjie only has the 7th order of the Fusion Realm, and the gap between the cultivation of the two is very large. Next, the teacher was speechless, and she numbly adjusted the Phantom physique to S level. Yuanjie directly amplified the move this time, and the sky hundred the shocking star. Super Shinra Heavenly Sign. Pure Land of Elysium. God Willish. All arranged. 10 seconds, I blanch. Is it so terrifying? Brothers? The 9th order of the Great Late Realm with an S-level physique is also a 10-second violent death? However, Yuanjie wrinkled his brows, and he felt that something was wrong. When he used his divine power, he originally had a long period of blood and died directly. Next, he continued to sprint the Great Late Realm 9th order Phantom with an SS-level physique. Yuanjie grunted and drank a few bottles of recovery potion. The consumption of spiritual power by the two skills of Heavenly Barrier Shock Star and Super Shenluo Heavenly Campaign just now was too great. Mainly, the spiritual power consumption of these two big moves is based on percentages, not fixed spiritual power. In other words, no matter how high his cultivation is, the blue consumption of the big move will only increase synchronously, not statically. However, the teacher did not give him too much time to recover and summoned it directly. On the battlefield, there will be no enemies waiting for you to return to your heyday or finish talking nonsense. Seeing this, Yuanjie hurriedly hit the continuous damage of Amaterasu first, and gave the earth life, making the black flame burn even more violently. Immediately afterwards, he used Kamui. 3 seconds, the students were stunned. This is an SS-level physique, how can it fight faster than just now? Don't talk about them, even Yuanjie stayed where they were. He couldn't help but frown. Is Shenhui really that strong in this time and space ninjutsu? Can you ignore the defense and kill it? He couldn't help but think of the comments he had seen on the internet in his previous life. Shenhui is so strong, isn't it good to turn your head directly? Yuanjie fell into deep thought. He was thinking about the feasibility of turning his head in this world. First of all, most of the powerhouses in this world have not comprehended the laws of time or space, that is, it is difficult for them to detect the release of divine power skills 0.5 seconds in advance. Moreover, now other strong people are not clear about his skills. Many people have not even seen Shenhui, and even if they do not know its principle, and they will probably only regard it as a materialized version similar to a space ring. It seems feasible? Yuanjie's eyes lit up. He hadn't thought about this problem before, because he hadn't encountered an enemy who posed a great threat to him for the time being. The only life-threatening emergency was in the secret forest, but he hadn't learned Kamui at that time. Since that's the case, then let's try to see if Shenhui can kill in seconds. When the teacher saw Yuanjie in 3 seconds, he killed an SS-level physique of the 9th order of the Great Late Realm, and he was directly stupid in place. Have you ever seen a student of the 7th order of the Fusion Realm be able to leapfrog a mid-to-high in 3 seconds? Haven't seen it, have you? To be honest, I haven't seen it either. Teacher, Yuanjie's call pulled her back to reality. Huh? The teacher was stunned, and she asked in a low voice, do you want to continue? Yuanjie nodded, stretched out his right hand, and motioned for her to continue arranging the phantoms of higher level physique. The teacher immediately filled the attributes of the phantom, not only the SSS level physique, but even the defense power and health were stretched to the extreme. There was a faint expectation in her heart, maybe today is the moment to witness history. In the history of the founding of the Great Xia Kingdom, there has never been a student who can defeat the Phantom of the Ramen in 30 seconds. Oh no, the previous Zionon has already made history. So, what about Yuanjie? Everyone held their breath, even the teachers who were not in class in other classes, and even the school leaders came to the simulation training room to watch after hearing the news. A phantom has just appeared. No, it has not yet appeared. The virtual system immediately reported the 3 words killed. Kill in less than a second? Am I dreaming? The crowd couldn't believe their eyes, because the scene was so bizarre that they even wondered if the machine was wrong. The school leader immediately arranged for technicians to come forward to inspect the machine, and after some tinkering, came to a conclusion. The machine is running well and barrier-free. Since there is no problem with the machine, it means that Yuanjie's kill is effective. It's not scientific. Call up this damage data panel. How is that possible? 99,999,999 damage numbers? The school leader was shocked. If there is only one number, it means that it is really a second kill. No, it should be a one-hit kill to be precise. Some people wonder if Yuanjie is stuck with some bug. But if they want to break their heads, they can't figure out how they did it. Only Yuanjie knew that Shenhui turned his head and really ignored the defense and directly killed. He couldn't wait at the moment, wanting to find a family god to try this trick himself. Regardless of whether it can be done in actual combat, the current situation is. Yuanjie set a record for the fastest clearance of virtual phantoms in the history of Daxia. The score is 0.01 seconds. Of course, the time set by the system is recorded to 2 decimal places at most. Otherwise, the time will be faster. None of this matters, everyone only knows that Yuanjie has set a new record, and it is a limit time record. It should be that there is no one before, and there is no one after, right? When Yuanjie walked out of the virtual space, Zionon rushed over and hugged him, and said happily, "My brother is powerful. She didn't have any displeasure thoughts, she just knew that her brother was even more powerful than her. No matter how many times she was reincarnated and reborn, her brother was still a supreme genius. No one else in the world can match it. Yuanjie moved his gaze to Li Tiansha. Li Tiansha was naturally very happy, but she secretly buried this happiness in her heart, and her expression was not revealed. When her gaze collided with Yuanjie's gaze, she unconsciously looked away. Schemed elsewhere. Chapter 132. Ever since the Zhou family had been robbed of 5 S-grade enhancement potions, they had begun to act cautiously. Many small families heard about this thing and wanted to buy it, but were told that it was sold out. At the same time, the 3 major families finally discovered this matter with hindsight. The 3 families began to act. They jointly sanctioned various industries of the Zhou family. Master, the goods in our factory can't be sold. Zhou Qianyu has heard bad news one after another in the past 2 days, especially the family industry. The Yu family recklessly grabbed orders and customers, and then the Huangfu family used public opinion to smear, to add insult to injury. Their Zhou family's products could not even go out of the factory door. The reason why the 3 major families can become the 3 major families must have their strong influence. The Huangfu family was in charge of almost all the media in Daxia, including television media and online public opinion, and its scientific and technological strength was particularly strong, and it was known as the military factory of Daxia. And all the light and heavy industries in Daxia, from heavy machinery to screws, there is no Yuanjie that is not involved. The Wang family monopolized the transportation industry in Daxia, including logistics and transportation, and even fuel. Therefore, when Yuanjie gradually understood the family alliance, he gradually understood why the royal family chose to be silent. Because many industries that should be controlled and held by the royal family have long been monopolized by the family. The so-called royal family is just a puppet. Even if your country moves any family, it may cause very serious consequences. The light is paralyzed, and the heavy is the people's livelihood. If you have to ask, why has the world become so deformed? It is not at all the same as our current harmonious society. It can only be said that the family has developed for tens of thousands of years, and the royal family only became royal 1,000 years ago. Coupled with the founder of the dynasty, he did not have the courage to centralize power at the beginning, and he had to get by, thinking that there would always be a capable person in the future who could realize his dreams. As a result, after 1,000 years, instead of being realized, it has become more and more difficult to achieve. When the 3 major families sanctioned the Zhou family at the same time, Zhou Qianyu deeply realized the horror of the 3 major families. You can't sit still, you have to take the initiative. Zhou Qianyu pondered that the strength of the 3 major families. At present, the Huangfu family has 6 gods, including 3 high gods, 1 middle god, and 2 low gods. Although there are only 4 gods in the Yu family, the one in the Yu family is the first god of SSS-level physique, and the head god of this perverted physique can withstand at least 5 high-ranking gods. The Wang family has 2 high-ranking gods, 5 middle gods, and 1 low-level god, and their strength is also not to be underestimated. Zhou Qianyu made a comparison in her heart, and found that she wanted to compete for the seat of the 3 major families, and now she was a little whimsical. Her eyes are cold, since she can't attack the other party with brute force, then the separation is broken. So, a plan suddenly came to my heart. 3 days had passed since Yuanjie handed over the strengthening potion to Dean Li Qing. This afternoon, Li Qing summoned Yuanjie to the office. Li Qing said straight to the point, according to our experiments in the past few days, it can be determined that this strengthening potion does have a big problem. The potion is through microorganisms, forcibly activating hidden cells in the body, and even changing the gene chain, allowing a person to obtain great power for a short time. Yuanjie sounded a little confused. Isn't it changing the physique? How did it become power? Li Qing took out the experimental report and released the details to him. This potion should be a special version. Why do you say that? First of all, the potion was specially extracted and made by extracting and studying the genes of the people of the Great Xia dynasty, which was very suitable for the physique of the citizens of the Great Xia dynasty. Secondly, this is the castrated version. In other words, the normal version of the enhancement potion should be able to evolve forever, and this one, the strengthened strength, can only be used up to 10 times. After 10 shots, it will turn a person into a person who is even more ordinary than ordinary people. It turned out to be just a short-term bottle of special medicine, and it seems that the Zhou family was pitted by the Flying Eagle country. Li Qing continued, the strengthening potion is extremely harmful to the human body, and the most significant effect is that the lifespan is shortened. I noticed at the time, why did the medicine bottle say that men use it better? According to my previous investigations of the Flying Eagle country, there is no such statement. As he spoke, Li Qing's face became solemn. So, our experimental group specially selected men for clinical trials and discovered a truth that made us all very angry. The real purpose of this bottle of strengthening potion is not to enhance the physique of the people of the Great Xia dynasty, but to eat the extinction. A person who has used the potion may not have a problem with his next generation, but after the next generation, he will never be able to awaken his physique, become an ordinary person and inherit it forever. Yuanjie was shocked. It turned out that this was the real conspiracy of the Flying Eagle country. If these enhancement potions were allowed to flood out, it would definitely cause immeasurable and serious consequences. Dean, over there in the Zhou family, I'm going to start acting. This kind of behavior of betraying the country and seeking glory. Yuanjie did not want to wait for a moment. Li Qing grabbed him and said, you wait a minute, Your Majesty's side should find the results of the investigation. Yuanjie threw away his hand and said indifferently, no need to wait, I'll go tonight. Don't you want a reputation? Fame is such a virtual thing. I don't care. Yuanjie smiled. It's all this time, still thinking about the matter of reputation. The longer it drags on, the more the potion will flood. Dean, you know the consequences. In fact, Yuanjie just wanted to find a legitimate reason to destroy the Zhou family, and now, the opportunity is sent to the door. He believed that the people of the world would thank SYNOPSIS Organization. Seeing that he had made up his mind, Li Qing looked at the closed office door for a long time without speaking. Oh, you don't care, but you're my student, I care. Thinking of this, he immediately came to the palace and asked to see His Majesty. Sorry, Your Majesty is not there. How could it not be? Li Qing frowned. He clearly saw it just now. Alice, Dean Li Qing, you can't enter without His Majesty's call. Go away. Li Qing burst out with a strong momentum, ejected the guards, and forced into the palace. He punched all the way in, walked to the door of the imperial study, hesitated for a while, and gently pushed it open. Ai Qing? What are you doing here? No one reported to me. The middle-aged man's expression froze. Li Qingpi didn't smile, and he sat down with his own care. Directly asked the middle-aged man, Your Majesty, how did the potion flow into the Great Xia dynasty? Can you investigate clearly? A trace of displeasure flashed on the middle-aged man's face, but he quickly covered it up, and he pointed with his right finger. Drink tea first. Let's talk about state affairs. Your Majesty, I'm not in a good mood to drink tea right now. Li Qing has something to say, aggressive, that is, to ask clearly. The middle-aged man shook his head helplessly and said, the person who investigated in the past replied to me. I don't know how it came in. Chapter 133. Li Qing's face changed. How could this be? He asked, Your Majesty, how could it not be found? The middle-aged man's kind expression disappeared, replaced by irritability, and he was very dissatisfied with Li Qing's aggressive attitude. Li Qing informed him of the clinical trial results of the fortification potion. The middle-aged man still looked cold. I'm tired. Li Qing looked deeply at the middle-aged man and left the imperial study silently. On the way back to the academy, he still couldn't understand His Majesty's attitude. This matter is very important, and His Majesty should not be so indifferent. It is said that the heart of the emperor is the coolest, and he is more and more unable to understand His Majesty's mind. After Li Qing returned to the academy, he told Yuanjie what happened. Yuanjie guessed correctly, and it was like this. It's all at this time. The royal family is actually still enduring? Don't bear it, just destroy it. However, Li Qing still suggested that Yuanjie wait a little longer. Don't rush to move first, because what he wants to deal with will definitely involve the official of the national government, and if he really wants to make a fuss, I am afraid that even he will not be able to protect him. Yuanjie said expressionlessly, Teacher, I want to ask a question. What is the crime of a public official who knows the law and violates the law, colludes with foreign countries, and harms his own people? Li Qing sighed and replied, Don't talk about this, the matter is still inconclusive. Didn't Your Majesty say, can't find out, even if it's a pig? Think about it with your brain. This strengthening potion came in from abroad, and the biggest suspect was the official in charge of import and export, and it was two different things to not be able to find and to pretend not to know. Li Qing still wanted to speak, but was interrupted by Yuanjie. That person said that he couldn't find out, and he had already made the attitude of the royal family clear. Either he didn't want to care, or he didn't dare to manage it, or he couldn't manage it. What is the use of keeping such a mediocre and incompetent royal family? Teacher, please don't say any more. I have decided. Since he doesn't do it, then I'll do it myself, but the means may be a little cruel. When Li Qing heard what Yuanjie said, he hurriedly dissuaded, be cautious. Yuanjie waited for this moment for a long time. Originally he did have some concerns about public opinion. He had seen too many online violence in his previous life. And now that he has figured it out, isn't it the same as the old academy? Internet violence? Who dares to abuse me online? I'll just hit the cable. A group of melon-eating masses who do not know the truth of the matter, listen to the words of one side, and think that there is no need to pay the price for speaking freely in the virtual world. Before leaving, Yuanjie held the doorknob and turned back to Li Qing and asked, I want to ask the question, are you deeply in love with this land? Or deeply in love with the royal family who rules the land? Yuanjie's words were like a thunderbolt on a sunny day, making Li Qing stunned in place. Yuanjie could have stood by and watched, just because this country is called Daksha, and there is also a Xia character. Moreover, the customs and appearance are similar to the previous life, so Yuanjie will be a little nosy when he has the ability. In his view, this is not the virgin, but the value of making one's own abilities realized. Everywhere they go, the people are innocent and should not pay for the dirty behavior of the rulers and families. Yuanjie returned to the classroom with a gloomy face. He looked at Xiaonan and said, are you free? Come with me. He didn't want to wait. He wanted to go to the official office immediately to punish the good officials. In his previous life, his parents both died in car accidents when he was a child, and he should have received a due amount of compensation. But because the perpetrators were rich people, they bought all the relationships, not only did not lose a penny, but just drank tea for half a day and left leisurely. At that time, Yuanjie was still young, did not understand why this happened, and had no means to resist. This led him to later embark on the arduous road of collecting garbage to earn school fees. Therefore, when he crossed into this world, the first one who was unhappy was the family, and the second was the national capital. History proves that the feudal hereditary system has drawbacks and is bound to cause many class contradictions. Today's world, the family and the secular are a clear example. In order to pass on the superior social status and abundant capital from generation to generation, the family constantly oppresses and exploits the common people. Similarly, in order to preserve the succession of power, the royal family chose to compromise with powerful families, ignoring the suffering of commoners. And the root of all this tragedy is political and economic hereditary. Xiaonan nodded. Yuanjie took her hand, and directly turned into a golden flash and left the classroom. Li Tiansha saw it next to her. She opened her mouth, and finally did not say a word. Yuanjie turned on the 6 modes and flew all the way to the executive area located in the east of Jingcheng. This is the administrative center of Daksha, and almost all important public officials work here. The soldiers stationed at the gate of the executive area saw Yuanjie alone, and he took up his gun and walked up. Children, this is a political place, not a place to play. Yuanjie nodded. I know, I'm not here to play, I'm here to find someone. The soldier suddenly realized that it might be the son of some high-ranking public servant, but he still asked who he came to look for. Yuanjie said the name of the official in charge of the import of the Zhou family. I came to find Zhou Dazhou. Is there an appointment? What's the matter with him? Yuanjie showed a cruel smile and said faintly, I came to ask for his life. The soldier immediately took a fighting stance and pointed his gun at Yuanjie. I warn you, one step further I will shoot. Yuanjie looked at him strangely and asked, I think soldiers should protect their homes and defend the country. What is a homemaker? Protect every fellow citizen in our homeland from suffering. What is the patriotic country? Defend the land from foreign nations and spirit beasts. And now, without asking about a cause and effect, directly raise your weapon against an unarmed compatriot. Do you think you are doing the right thing? The soldier's eyes changed, and then he said firmly, I'm sorry, where the duty is. Yuanjie smiled at him and walked straight inside. Bang! The soldier shot. He saw Yuanjie's footsteps pause, and his heart could not bear it. Unexpectedly, in the next second, the bullet that had just been fired appeared under his feet. Guns, but they don't work for me. Yuanjie did not look back and continued to walk forward. Bang bang bang, 3 more shots. Yuanjie raised the bullet in his finger, and with a slight shake, The bullet fell to the ground. Forget it, it's quite hard to shoot, you take a break. With his back to the soldier, he opened the white eye and the three-hook jade riding wheel eye, controlling the opponent's illusion in place. Gunshots were heard at the door, and the soldiers began to assemble. Bang! A gunshot, bullet streaked through the air and struck Yuanjie's head. Yuanjie only turned his head slightly, dodged the fatal blow, and then looked up and saw soldiers on the tower holding guns at him. He smiled slightly and stretched out his right hand. Wang Ziading. The body of the soldier on the tower flew down from a height of 50 meters uncontrollably. Yuanjie's right eye was scarlet, and the soldier's expression was in a trance, so he tilted his head. He threw the soldier back and continued into the depths of the executive area. Chapter 134. Stand still. Inside is an office space. Idlers are not allowed to enter. Noisy. Yuanjie walked all the way over, encountered many soldiers who blocked the road, and directly opened the Sharingan eye to hibernate it. At this time, an army of 1,000 men stood on the opposite side of him. Lay down your weapons and don't go inside. Yuanjie spread out his hands and shrugged, which if your eyes saw me with a weapon, the head of the 1,000-year-old was stunned, as if it were like this. However, Yuanjie's hard break into the executive area touched their bottom line, and if he let him in again, it would be his own responsibility. Sir, don't hesitate, General Flying Tiger has been informed that he is on his way. The commander's face turned pale, his right hand split, and someone in the army suddenly threw a smoke bomb. But is smoke bomb useful for Yuanjie? It's useless, he has white eyes. Unexpectedly, in the next second, a cyan figure passed through the crowd and teleported behind them. I don't want to fight you, don't force me to do it. The soldier guarded this place, only duty, not intended to be an enemy of him. Bang bang bang, the soldiers shot. Countless tongues of fire spewed out, and countless bullets poured out. However, the bullets could not pass through the shield of Shinra Shinzheng, and they were all blocked out. It seems that you are still not honest. Why don't you listen to advice? Yuanjie used the Enpion heavenly guidance to attract and fix 1,000 soldiers in place. The 1,000th soldier watched him walk in with red eyes. Damn, it's actually a strong person in the strength of the Great Lake Realm. We can't stop it at all. Most of the soldiers in Daksha are secular civilians, they have no talent and poor physique. However, they still have a passion, and they joined the army to protect their homes and defend the country. Fortunately, this world already has thermal weapons, which allow mortals to face superpowers or spirit beasts, and they can also have the power to fight back. Yuanjie walked all the way into the office building that controlled the entrance and exit. Just now, the executive area issued a red warning, and the building has long been waiting for it. Yuanjie searched for Zhou Dezuo with white eyes, and after discovering his location, he opened the blur and crossed the thick walls. Zhou Dezuo's cultivation is not high, only the gradual convergence realm, and he has a sense of foreboding at this time. Recently, however, he has done a clean job and has also bribed the inspectors who came to investigate. Probably no one knows, right? That's what he thought. At this moment, a man with a white mask wearing a black robe of Xiangayan broke through the air defense doors that could not be blown through by peaceful bullets, and suddenly appeared in the evacuation room. Yo, there are quite a lot of people. The noisy environment was suddenly silent. Dodging all the officials of the country, their expressions frozen began to panic. Zhou Dezuo's body flew up from the pile of people. He brushed his face white, and grabbed his colleague's clothes with great fear. Don't be nervous, I'm not here to target you. Zhou Dezuo's neck was grabbed by Yuanjie. His face suddenly turned the color of pig liver. Release, let go, I beg. Yuanjie let go and threw him on the ground, making a muffled sound. Say, tell me what your family has arranged for you to do. Little Loli Heldeo appears. She summons the Hell Hades, and the tiger is watching. Did you secretly use your power to smuggle in the strengthening potion sold by the Zhou family? Zhou Dezuo's heart was shocked, and it was really for this matter. However, he quickly calmed down. He felt that even if he lied, the other party did not know. Zhou Dezuo pretended to be surprised. What? What fortification potion are you talking about? I don't know. Before he finished speaking, his tongue stretched out uncontrollably. Such a strange scene made the entire secret room scream and fall into an even greater panic. The Hell King opened his mouth, and a long tongue with an arm stretched out and grabbed Zhou Dezuo's tongue. Alice, if you don't cherish the opportunity, then I can't blame me. Zhou Dezuo's tongue was ripped off by Yan Wang, and blood spurted out of his mouth, staining the ground red. The endless chewing sound made everyone's scalp numb. The way of the world, search for the soul. Yes, Lord Tendao, standing behind Joe Dazuo, a soul, a body visible to the naked eye, was forcibly pulled out of his body. The temperature in the space suddenly became gloomy, and everyone seemed to hear the screams of ghosts crying wolves. Nope, Joe Dazuo's soul body screamed, and soon broke away from its shell. Yuanjie burned Joe Dazuo's flesh with a black flame. He looked around and said lightly, "Those who participate, I hope you can take the initiative to stand up, otherwise, the end will be the same as him." I confess, one of the public servants crawled out like a dog. "Strong man, can you let me go? What do you think? How about you ask someone else?" Yuanjie directly buried his body with black flames. The official fell into despair, and he shouted maniacally, "You devil, you said that as long as I stand up and turn myself in, you can let me go." The corners of Yuanjie's mouth played with taste. "Did I say that? As for the other people involved, they are even more afraid to come out. But if they didn't come out, did they think that Yuanjie didn't know about them? Burn. I'll burn. And it's burning inch by inch. Torture them for an hour. Little friend, you're over. Indiscriminately kill the official of the national government, and Daksha will not let you go." A respected official stood up, his expression solemn. "The official of the state government has a death-free card, and whoever dares to make a move will fall into place of irreparable disaster." Yuanjie raised his eyebrows and laughed. "You all think I'm killing innocents?" No one answered, but the expression said it all. They are all people who used to work together, and they were burned alive in front of themselves like this, and they were not happy in their hearts. "See before you condemn me." Yuanjie made Joe Dazuo's first view memory of the enhancement potion into playback bead, and threw it on the ground to play it automatically. Yuanjie then threw Li Qing's previous potion clinical trial record manual to the old man who had just spoken. The old man looked at this report carefully, her face changed, she looked up, and saw Joe Dazuo's memories. "After thinking about it, I couldn't help but tremble my body. Let's go, you guys study slowly." Yuanjie passed through the obstacles and returned to the ground. At this time, a scar-faced man wearing golden armor blocked his way. "Come when you want, leave if you want. You really don't take the national government seriously, do you? Others generally can't understand the strength level of people who are higher than their own cultivation, but Yuanjie can. Because he has a system, moreover, he can also shield his cultivation and pretend to be a master." "Oh? You are the Flying Tiger General, right?" "It's down. The Flying Tiger General, the fifth highest god on the Great Xia dynasty, has a rather terrifying strength." But Yuanjie was not afraid in the slightest. Suddenly, the Flying Tiger General frowned. "Another master is coming." Chapter 135. The person who came was a strong man of the Zhou family, whose strength was equivalent to that of a median god. The Zhou family received a message from Joe Dazuo and immediately arranged for experts to come over to protect. Joe Dazuo is the most critical pawn in the Zhou family's plan, and there can be no accident. If something happens, not only the Flying Eagle country can't explain it, but if it's serious, it will cut off the way to wealth. Yuanjie stood with his hands in his hands, and he didn't make any movement. And the strong man of the Zhou family found that the flight trajectory had changed, and the speed was still accelerating. In a moment, he appeared between Yuanjie and the Flying Tiger General as if teleporting. The Flying Tiger General wrinkled his eyebrows, and he saw the identity of the other party clearly at a glance. "It's actually from the Zhou family." Kamui, the strong man of the Zhou family, lost his head unexpectedly, and his blood sprayed like a column. Shenwei turned his head, terrifying. Directly silently killed a mid-position god on the spot. The Flying Tiger General was shocked. He didn't expect the other party's strength to be so strong. Moreover, with his top-level strength of the 9th order of the Great Late Realm, why couldn't he see through Yuanjie's cultivation? Is he? The Flying Tiger General thought of a very terrifying possibility. There should be no mistake, even if it is yourself, you can do it, but you definitely can't kill a middle god in seconds. Only a supermaster above the Big Knight has such terrifying strength. At this moment, he looked at the man wearing a black robe and a white mask in Xiangan, and solemnity appeared in his eyes. Yuanjie deliberately made himself into the image of a mysterious master, and now even the Flying Tiger Great General, who ranked 5th in the strength of the Great Xia dynasty, was fooled. With disdain in his eyes, he waved his hand and said, "Flying Tiger General, I advise you not to waste time confronting our organization. The outside is your main battlefield, the water in the territory is too deep, You can't grasp it." Leaving this sentence, Yuanjie turned into a golden flash and flew away. The flying tiger general fell into deep thought. He had indeed just returned from the border. He had not returned to the territory for hundreds of years, and he did not understand the situation at all. "Do you know the organization?" He had never heard of this force, and he suddenly became interested. After Yuanjie left the executive area, he came to the door of Zhou's house. He contacted Yu Menghan and Wang Qing and asked them to send their families over to prepare to take over. This phone call made the two girls stunned at the same time. What's the situation? The Zhao organization is actually going to make a move on the Zhou family? Why? They have had good dealings with the Zhao organization and probably understand the style of doing things. Every time Zhao makes a move, there are traces to follow, and he will never wronged any family, and he must have mastered the actual evidence of the crime before he will do it. And this time, why did the Zhou family suddenly extinguish? The Zhou family has been very good over the years, and there has been no conflict with Yuanjie? Yu Menghan suddenly thought, could it be related to the strengthening potion? Mom, I'll go to the Zhou family first, and you will arrange dozens of masters to follow. Yu Huaxu put down the account book in his hand, looked up and instructed, got it, my mother will set off, you pay attention to safety on the road. Then I thought that in Daksha, no one could hurt his daughter. It's my own overthinking. No, except for the mysterious powerhouse of the bullhead mask. The Wang family and the Zhou family are relatively close, and the Yu family is thousands of kilometers apart, and it takes a while for Yu Menghan to fly over. Yuanjie released all the 5 ways of pain from the Shenhui space, as well as Ionon and the Wind God. It seems to be one more missing. Yuanjie remembered the female classmate wearing a black bow. Brother Hao, Dongyu, the Zhou family is inside. You guys kill as much as you want, don't give me face. Are you finally going to do something to the Zhou family? Dongyu's face turned crimson. She had waited for this day for too long. She licked her red lips and smiled cruelly. Zhou Shixin, didn't expect it? I'm back. She hated the man who took away her body and hope of living. I can't wait to cut him by 1,000 cuts. Yuanjie asked Xiaonan to stay to protect them, and return to the desolate ancient academy as quickly as possible. Leaving Ruzu, do you want to go to the Zhou family? Li Ruxu looked at him blankly, at a loss. Yuanjie suddenly appeared in class, and at this time, he was still wearing a black robe of Xiangayan, but the white mask was taken off by him. Zio robe, everyone was stunned. Oops, it turns out that the idol is next to me. The heroic act of the Zio organization in destroying the 8th family some time ago can be described as a great shock and encouragement to the worldly people. Many people regard the organization as an idol, and some even save money and secretly buy the Zio robe produced by the Yu family to get addicted. The appearance of Yuanjie made the whole class boil. The teacher who was in class stood aside very sensibly. Squad leader, have you joined the legendary Zio organization? Yuanjie smiled and said, you are half right, I am indeed an organization, but I did not join, but created. Everyone began to scream, and the image of the squad leader suddenly became even taller. Squad leader, I just heard you tell Ruxu that you are going to destroy the Zhou family. Can I go and take a look? Someone asked such a question, which made everyone's eyes shine. They are very curious and excited about this kind of thing. Yuanjie was speechless after seeing their excited expressions, and asked silently, the scene is very bloody and cruel. Are you sure you want to go to the fun? At this time, the teacher walked up to his side and said, Yuanjie, just take them and let them see the cruelty of the battle in advance. Maybe it will be a good thing for them. Teachers also don't want their students to be flowers in a greenhouse, and after graduation, they have to cultivate in the air, and as a result, they will faint with blood when they kill an enemy. Okay, Yuanjie nodded. Since this is the case, then go together. You can also let them participate in the battle. Anyway, the desolate academy and the family do not deal with it. What is the problem? Naturally there is a dean to bear. Ancient Academy General Elite Class. All of them. 2, including Li Tiansha. All the students stood up from their seats and lined up in a straight line. This afternoon is the team building activity of our class. Destroy the Zhou family. Let's go. Yes. All the students lit up their eyes, especially Ruzu, and couldn't suppress the expectations in their hearts. She waited for this day, waited for a long time, and finally had the opportunity to avenge her father. Li Tiansha was full of joy, and finally had the opportunity to fight side by side with Brother Ji. Under the same roof, she had long known that Brother Ji had created an organization, But she felt that her strength was too poor, so she did not ask to join. In fact, she is also willing to be his right hand and solve his problems. And now, cultivating Xia Chang by yourself should be able to help a little. Squad leader, let's go. Wait a minute, you guys don't struggle. The students felt a wave of time fluctuations and entered a strange world. Here it is. It didn't take long for the situation in front of them to change again. Joe Mansion. It's here. Everyone pay attention to safety. Genji released his classmates from the Kamui space, and he immediately turned on Susanoo. System. Use the Susanoo experience card. Good. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136. This Susanoo experience card was obtained by purchasing a limited time gift package before. Since Yuanjie was upgraded to the Ronghu realm, I thought that this experience card would be invalidated. Unexpectedly, he only noticed that there was a line of words underneath. Today, if the host has been promoted to the fusion realm and has mastered the full body mustache ability, this experience card can increase the host's cultivation of a large realm in a short time. Now that Yuanjie's cultivation is the 7th order of the fusion realm, what is the concept of increasing a big realm? In other words, Brother G can skyrocket to the 7th order of the Great Evening Realm in 1 hour. He who fuses the 7th order of the realm can wrench his wrist with a middle god. What about the 7th order of the Great Late Realm? A few days ago, Yuanjie detected that there were many masters hidden in the territory of the Zhou family. Most of them had reached the strength of the middle gods, and even the high gods. In order to be foolproof, he directly used the experience card, skyrocketed cultivation, and did not give a chance at all. The students of the elite class looked up at the blue giant. Li Tiansha muttered, it seems that he has grown a lot taller. Indeed, the Susanoo of the 5th order of the fusion realm is 300 meters, the 7th order is 500 meters, and the 7th order of the Great Evening Realm is directly as high as 1,400 meters. Nearly 3 times taller. Everyone in the Zhou mansion was fleeing, and they saw the 1,400-meter blue giant from a distance, and they were all stupid. What the hell is this power? Terrifying. The end of the Zhou family is coming. Damn it, what kind of existence did they provoke? Nope. I don't want to die, I still have a great future. Everyone in the Zhou family was even more panicked, and even had a stampede accident. Yuanjie swept all the way over, and everywhere he went, there was no grass. Whether it's buildings or people, step on them all with 1 foot. What the hell is his trick? Isn't it said that there is no substance in heaven and earth? That's right, the Dharma heaven and earth are phantoms, which assist the powerhouses of the Great Evening Realm to release their skills without interruption, and there is also the effect of increasing the holding skills. Is there a possibility? This blue giant is not a Dharma world at all? The attack on the Zhou family attracted a bunch of strong people to watch, and this was the first time that the Akatsuki Organization appeared under the public. Yuanjie did this to establish power. Let them see how strong the organization really is. An existence powerful enough to make your family alliance and royalty fear. Alice, a sword and a sword, a foot and a step are still too slow to extinguish. Yuanjie directly ignored the periphery of the Zhou family, and Susanoo flew up, and the sky descended to the center of the Zhou family. At this time, the 8 gods of the Zhou family had already faced the 5 gods of pain and the wind god. However, except for the Ajuradeo and the Beasteo, the other pain attacks are very average. At present, 2 pain have died in battle, and Yuanjie attracts the broken 6 puppets back, and he summons the Hell Hades and throws the 6 dolls into it to repair them. Hungry Gusteo Dongyu's combat power impressed Yuanjie. Perhaps hatred activated her potential and made her strong. Zhou Shixin. Don't think that 2 low-level gods can keep you. Dongyu, the hungry ghost, was covered in blood, and his face fell into madness. Yu, although I don't know what happened to you, how about taking your friends and withdrawing from the Zhou family for the sake of you and me as a husband and wife overnight? The combat power of the Ajuradeo and the Beasteo was too fierce, and the middle and high gods of the Zhou family were still being urgently manufactured, and he had to delay it for a while. The pain you gave me yesterday, today I will pay back 100-fold and 1,000 times. Saying that, 2 long and thick spiritual power hands suddenly stretched out from the body of the hungry Gusteo and grabbed towards the 2 low-ranking gods of the Zhou family. The 2 low-ranking gods quickly drew their weapons and slashed at the spiritual power hand. Gradually, the hungry ghost who was too injured could hardly hold on. Zhou Shixin seemed to see the hope of victory. Just now, his wife was attacked to death by Dongyu, and she has nowhere to vent. Fortunately, I am a master, Zhou Shixin patted his chest and said. This mad woman's combat power is too strong. In order to protect him, the future successor of the Zhou family, 2 low-ranking gods in their Zhou family have fallen. Fortunately, 2 more low-ranking gods came to fight to the death to protect him, and only then did he suppress the arrogant Dongyu. There is actually a technique that can resurrect a person who has been dead for many years and give it high-level strength. Zhou Shixin looked at Dongyu, and the greed in his eyes was unconcealed. After catching her, you must torture her and force her to ask who is behind her. And at this moment, a cyan figure suddenly appeared in front of the hungry ghost Dao, and he stretched out his right hand and directly attracted the 2 low-ranking gods of the Zhou family. Thank you, Lord Heavenly Dao, Dongyu thought, and immediately sucked these 2 people dry with his spiritual power hand and turned them into skin and bones. You, who are you? Zhou Shixin's eyes widened, and he retreated in fear. Yuanjie pulled the Zio robe on his body and said leisurely, What's wrong? Is this dress unrecognizable? Of course, Zhou Shixin knows that the reputation of the Zio Organization is famous in the Saga Alliance. The little families are all afraid that one day, the Zio Organization will send justice to punish themselves. However, the Zhou family is not afraid. They are the 4th-ranked family in the Great Xia dynasty. They don't believe it. The Zio Organization will do something to their own family. Zhou Shixin said with a gloomy face, My Zhou family has no grievances or enmity with your Zio Organization. Why destroy me? Yuanjie grinned and said contemptuously, You have no enmity with me, but you have a feud with them. Besides, I know that the organization can destroy whoever it wants, and it is your turn to force Li here. Is the Zio Organization really so lawless and lawless? Yuanjie smiled. Good people and bad people are all done in your family, right? He also did not argue with him, and directly guided the heavens and fixed it with a black rod. Hungry ghost Dao, this kid will be handed over to you. Yuanjie teleported away. Zhou Shixin felt in horror that his body could not move. He desperately wanted to struggle, but found that he couldn't move no matter what. Dongyu smiled cruelly, and a black rod stretched out from his sleeve, a stroke. Zhou Shixin's happiness is gone. His forehead was covered with cold sweat, and his green muscles burst out. Seeing his happiness being trampled by Dongyu, it even pressed hard and burst out red and white pulp. Nope, he roared in shock, and then fainted in pain. Dongyu poked a stick into Zhou Shixin's heart, his body trembled, and finally lost his breath. She slumped to the ground, blood and tears spilling from her eyes. Back then, in order to cover his eyes, Zhou Shixin sent the experts of the Zhou family to wipe out all her 9 races. The Blood Sea has a deep vendetta, and it has finally been rewarded. But why couldn't she be happy? The revenge was revenge, but the relatives never returned. The sky was not beautiful, and at this time it was raining thickly. The rain gradually washed away the red on Zhou Shixin's body, and he lowered his head, his long bangs covering his delicate face. Dongyu slowly stood up, knelt down and bowed his head and kissed the land. From now on, there will be no Dongyu in the world. She has only one name. Pain. Chapter 137. On the other side, the combat power of the wind god is really strong, although he is a low-level god at the end, but the combat power that really broke out is the so-called gods of the Zhou family who rely on hormones. Yuanjie looked down from the sky, and saw Yadhao constantly shuttling through the Zhou family with his treading waves, moving forward and being happy. Then, Yuanjie looked away, and for the time being, it seemed that there was no problem with the swift wind god hitting 3 times, and the opponent couldn't even touch the corners of his clothes. Moreover, a steady stream of Zhou family soldiers rushed over, which made Yadhao's whereabouts even more erratic. Strange, after fighting for so long, why hasn't a single middle god appeared? Yuanjie frowned. He remembered that when he came over last time, it was clear that there were at least 5 or 6 strong auras of mid-level gods in the Zhou mansion. Since you are a shrunken-headed turtle, right? Then I'll blow you up. Yuanjie's right hand condensed a huge gravitational ball, and he raised his right hand and threw the black gravitational ball. A huge gravitational ball instantly split into dozens. Yuanjie looked indifferent and clasped his palms, a few cutting antennas. The ground of the Zhou mansion cracked instantly, and the territory of the Zhou mansion with a radius of thousands of acres fell into a rumbling earthquake. Countless houses and Xiaofu people were attracted to the sky by a powerful gravitational force. This is What the heck? The onlookers hurried to fly away. As soon as the master of the Wang family arrived, Wang Badian saw more than 30 giant stone balls suspended in the sky of the Zhou mansion, and suddenly paused in his steps and subconsciously retreated. Lao Zu, this kind of power? But that legendary realm? Wang Qing's face turned white. She had heard her grandfather say that there were peerless masters in the Zhao organization, but the first time she saw it with her own eyes, she had no other words than shock and fear. Each giant stone ball is tens of thousands of meters in diameter, and just levitating in the air brings people a great shock. No, this is the real God, Wang Badian said coldly. Compared to him, we don't deserve to be called gods at all. Any middle god, a high god, is just a self-aggrandizing title. In the presence of God, not even ants are inferior. All the students of the elite class of the Aragao Academy, as well as the wind god, were sucked into Susanoo's chest by Genji before the giant stone ball was formed to avoid accidental injury. The students were sitting on the Gundam for the first time, and they were very curious one by one. In the head cab, Li Tiansha and Xiaonan stood on either side of Yuanjie. Except for Xiaonan, like everyone, Li Tiansha looked at the angular handsome face with complicated eyes. I didn't think he was so strong. Ruzu's small mouth opened slightly, and she spit out a sentence for a long time. It turns out that this is the real strength of the squad leader. It seems that at the Freshman Challenge Conference, it is estimated that he did not use even 1% of his strength. Yu Menghan also arrived at the scene at this time. She prided herself on cultivating high, and observed this move Super Earth Explosion Star up close. Even with her strong strength, she can't do such a momentum. Of course, with so many boulders, it was impossible to cause any harm to her. Her physique is very special, and she can pedalize all attacks, whether it is melee or ranged. As long as her body touches, it directly turns into roses. Although her defense is almost invincible, unfortunately the damage is limited, and she belongs to the state where no one can fight and no one can fight. She is not like Brother G, she is a scene person, all skills are big and many, and she oppresses the opposite side in terms of momentum. The land of the Zhou family mansion has been cleared tens of meters deep, and from a distance, there is only a huge deep pit left in the Zhou mansion of 1,000 acres. Yuanjie looked down condescendingly, obviously empty, but he vaguely felt that there was a powerful aura fluctuating. Still making a shrunken hooded turtle, in this case, Yuanjie raised his right hand high and gently pressed down. More than 30 boulders, descending rapidly. He smiled evilly. It seems to be a little too heavy in terms of rain. More than 30 boulders fell from a kilometer altitude, so fast that even the surface of the boulder rubbed sparks. Everyone present couldn't help but have a dull expression. They all mourned silently for the Zhou family in their hearts, although they didn't know why the organization found them, but they didn't prevent themselves from eating melons and watching the play. The Zhou family is dead, and it should be erased in the long history of the great Xia dynasty today. How to say that it is the fourth-ranked family? If it is not, it is embarrassing. Isn't there anyone standing up to manage the organization? So nobody, feel free to erase the family. Don't take the life of the family seriously at all. Indeed, the population of the Zhou family is as high as 10 million, and in an hour, the world evaporates and there are no bones. The area of a Zhou mansion is 10 times larger than Jianghu City. Presumably, no one in this world can do it except this man in a white mask. Right, master, if we don't go out again, we'll be finished. Some masters hated iron and steel, and said loudly to Zhou Jin. At this time, the masters of the Zhou family were gathering in the secret room of the Zhou mansion that was 100 meters deep underground, and the momentum of the Earth explosion star just now was so huge that even the underground secret room was trembling violently. When Zhou Qianyu organized an invasion of the Zhou family, she immediately arranged for all the masters to hide in the underground secret room and secretly carry out a plan. After her experiments some time ago, she found that her physique could actually be superimposed through the strengthening potion. In other words, when a person injects an SS-level strengthening potion and then injects an S-grade potion, he can actually obtain an SSS-level physique. This bug was really understood by the Zhou family, and it is estimated that even the Flying Eagle country did not find it, right? However, when the two potions are superimposed, there is a great probability that the body will explode and die. Now, all 5 SS-level physique powerhouses have been injected with S-level enhancement potions, and 3 of them have died that can't hold on to the furious energy. There are only the last 2 left, and Zhou Qianyu is constantly praying, hoping to succeed. When the Zhou family survives, it depends on this time. Finally, some masters couldn't stand it, and they're rushed out. 2 median gods. The ants finally can't help the fire and escape the cave. One of the middle gods rushed towards the boulder that fell first and broke it with one punch. What he didn't expect was that when his hand just touched the surface of the boulder was actually covered with a black flame. It's Amaterasu. This old six. The middle god wailed and was drowned in black flames, and finally turned into a handful of ashes and was blown away by the wind. Another middle god saw that his companion had died so miserably that he stopped alive. Since you can't use melee attacks, use ranged attacks to smash the boulder. However, more than 30 boulders, when will they all be destroyed? Her eyes couldn't help but darken and lost the color they deserved. The Zhou family is dead. She couldn't figure it out until she died. How did the Zhou family provoke such a powerful enemy? In the end, her efforts were in vain, only breaking 2 boulders, leaving more than 30. The gods of the Zhou family opened the Dharma heaven and earth, and the phantom supported a boulder, and in the end, it was submerged in dust. Chapter 138. More than 30 huge rocks bombarded the territory of Zhoufu one after another, raising a huge amount of smoke and dust that lasted for a long time. Even the entire western part of Jingchang felt a strong tremor, and countless civilians fled the house one after another, falling into panic. Even the palace in the east of Jingchang felt a slight shaking. The middle-aged man looked up and saw the crystal chandelier shaking around. He wrinkled his eyebrows and asked the palace maid, "What happened? The earth dragon turned over?" The people of the Wang family and the Yu family arrived almost at the same time, and they witnessed this terrifying scene with their own eyes. More than 30 meteorites, all smashed together. Not only the scene is very scary, but importantly, the attack power is also exaggerated. It is not an exaggeration to say that it has been razed to the ground. Everyone who watched was embarrassed, and they couldn't help but sigh with emotion after witnessing the disappearance of a powerful family. The Zhou family, once also brilliant, controlled most of the mining industry in Daxia, but now, the Zong family is gone, and the branches scattered throughout the country will surely be eaten clean by the major family soon. No, the Wang family and the Yu family are here, and they can't wait. When the Yu family came, they were stunned when they saw the Wang family. They thought that Yuanjie had notified them, but they didn't expect to notify them. The Wang family's gaze was also stunned, and Wang Badian's gaze then recovered its depth. He thought about it carefully, and it was not unreasonable for Yuanjie to arrange it this way. The 2 of them, even if any of them eat the 4th-ranked Zhou family, their strength will be greatly improved, and they will soon become a thorn in the eyes of other families. However, if it is to divide the property and territory of the Zhou family equally with the Yu family, it is not a big problem. It can only be said that the gap with the Huangfu family is shortened, and it does not threaten other families. Moreover, other families will be more willing to see that the current family alliance is a super strong situation, and the strength of the Huangfu family is far ahead of all the families. Thinking of this, Wang Badian smiled and went up to say hello to Yu Huaxu, the head of the Yu family. Yu Huaxu did not shake his face, but also smiled. It's all in the middle of nowhere. Just when everyone thought that the matter was over, at this time, from the huge iron box exposed on the surface of the Zhou family, 3 people walked out. What? The head of the Zhou family actually hid so deeply? One thing to say, their air defense chamber is so strong. I want to ask which brand it is. Haha, in the territory of Daxia, there is the strength to make this level of military products. Who else is there besides the Huangfu family? If you think too much, it must be the extra thick oil on the surface that weakens a certain attack power. Zhou Qianai looked around and saw the devastated Zhou family territory, and couldn't help but redden. Nothing, everything is gone. She gritted her teeth and looked up at the blue giant with hatred eyes. It's all him. Without him, the Zhou family would be able to live for a lifetime. Passed down for 10,000 years. Yuanjie looked curiously at the 2 people standing beside Zhou Qianai. They were actually SSS-level physique powerhouses? Finally, someone found out. I'm Zhou. When did the Zhou family have 2 more high-ranking gods with SSS-level physique? You won't have heard about the Zhou family's sale of medicine, right? The question is, what medicine can create 2 high-ranking gods with SSS-level physique? I want to buy it too. Everyone was talking, but their voices were very small, for fear of being heard by the 3 members of the Zhou family. In this world, strength is always the trump card. There's strength. Are you still worried about the absence of land and assets? If you really let the Zhou family survive this wave, and have 2 SSS-level physiques of the high-ranking gods. Maybe they can break through to become the first family in one fell swoop. Wang Badian and Yu Huxu looked embarrassed at the same time, but they didn't expect that the situation would suddenly reverse. They secretly arranged for all the gods in their family to go out, and since the grudge has been settled, they must cut the grass and remove the roots. Don't worry, the family master, the disaster of destroying the door, we must personally repay it, one of the men said with an indifferent expression. When you have unrivaled strength, your temperament changes. Zio, you have created endless slaughter, and at this time, it is up to me to punish you. The man's name is Zhou Quan, and he used to awaken the A-level physique, when he chose to strengthen his mouth, and his current cultivation is the 6th order of the Great Late Realm. Originally, he strengthened his mouth and could be a fire-breathing gourd baby at most. Unexpectedly, when he advanced to the SSS-level physique, he actually awakened a mysterious power. As soon as he opens his mouth, the world will be dominated by him. Definitely, as soon as he gave an order, all the animals in a radius of thousands of miles froze in place. Yuanjie twisted his body, but found that he could not move. He narrowed his eyes. It seems that this SSS-level physique is indeed not simple. No matter where it is strengthened, it can have extremely powerful power. Zhou Quan stepped into the air step by step, and gently fingered, scatter. Susanoo's shell is actually pierced. But fortunately, it didn't really fall apart. It seems that his cultivation is not high, although this ability is against the sky, but in his hands, he cannot exert his true strength. Thinking of this, the kaleidoscope pattern of Genji's right eye began to rotate, repairing the hole in Susanoo. Zhou Quan smiled slightly, feeling a little interesting. Relying on the skills launched by the eyes, rather than relying on the seal, is indeed more difficult than ordinary opponents. His purpose is clear, that is, to poke Yuanjie's eyes blind. So, he walked up to the 5-sided gem above Susanoo's head and called softly, "Break." The 5-sided gem suddenly cracked. Li Tiansha looked nervously, but his body could not move. Yuanjie and Xiaonan were particularly calm and did not panic at all. Zhou Quan's mouth broke, unable to resist the command, causing the 5-sided gem to completely crack. On the other side, Zhou Yuki, another SSS-level physique Zhou family powerhouse, flew in front of the Wang Jiayu family. Very good, you two are very good. You actually colluded with a cult organization and did something to your own people. Because the two families were fixed by Zhou Quan's words, they couldn't say anything at all. Zhou Yuki raised his fist and suddenly emitted a golden light. Punched out towards everyone in the Wang family Yu family. What she awakened at the beginning was also the physical system, and what she strengthened was the fist. Today, she has evolved into an SSS level, and the power of her fist is incomparable. However, the annihilation scene she expected did not happen. Instead, her powerful fist wind blew up countless petals. Zhou Yuki was stunned. She suddenly remembered someone. The petals surrounded Yumeng inside and gradually turned into a sharp sword. Shoot at each other. I don't believe it. I can't break this turtle shell of yours. Zhou Yuki fell into madness. She thought that her SSS-level physique was invincible to the world, but she didn't expect that she would encounter hard stubble just out of the mountain. Look at my Yuanzhong fist, her right hand. The golden light was even worse, almost illuminating the entire sky. She shouted, "This is her strongest move. It will be broken." What? After she punched out, the sky raised more rose petals. Beautiful. Chapter 139. On Yuanji's side, Zhou Quan saw that the 5-sided gem was finally broken, and he stepped in. The strange protruded, and his foot was stuck there. Genji repaired Susanoo again. Zhou Quan was furious, and he shouted, "Solution." At this time, the animals in a radius of thousands of miles were actually able to move and untie themselves. His idea is simple, to adapt to change. It's just that his sudden unbinding made his companion Zhou Yuki suddenly fall into difficulty. Zhou Yuki finally recognized the woman dressed in white. "Shaojin? Are you the first god?" She was stunned. No one would have thought that the mysterious head god was only 20 years old. Oh my god, people are more popular than dead. At the age of 20, not only has an excellent physique, but also cultivated to the 9th order of the Great Late Realm. This kind of ability can make most Xianjiao feel ashamed of themselves, right? Zhou Yuki didn't think about it, and quickly slipped away. The battle legend of the first god has been circulating in major families for a long time. Although she does not have any powerful attack power, her near-invincible defense can definitely torture you to death. Yu Menghen's small mouth opened slightly, and she sighed. She really had no means to keep the other party. Zhou Yuqi and Zhou Quan fought side by side, and Yuanjie and Xiaonan took a step forward. That woman, you coming? Xiaonan turned his head and smiled at him and nodded. The big war is about to break out. Yuanjie immediately turns on all states. 8 doors Dunjia, immortal arts, and 6 modes. He raised his right hand and shot towards Zhou Quan. Definitely, Zhou Quan unhurriedly fixed the laser's attack, and then waved it gently. Disperse. The weakened version of the Golden Wheel Rebirth explosion just disappeared. Come here. As soon as Zhou Quan shouted, Yuanjie's body was attracted to it as if he had been attracted to the heavenly lead. On your knees, Yuanjie struggled to support his legs, but the power of this law was really difficult to resist. Heavenly hand power, Yuanjie changed positions with the other party, and when he switched positions, he put Amaterasu under his feet in advance. Amaterasu stained Zhou Quan's body, and when Zhou Quan said a word indifferently, the black flame disappeared. Kamui, Yuanjie wants to take advantage of his unpreparedness and use the move of turning his head with divine power. However, the other party has evolved into an SSS-level physique powerhouse, so he naturally senses something. Zhou Quan, retreat. His figure teleported 50 meters behind, barely dodging the spatial vortex of Shinwei. Find death. Zhou Quan was furious, and he waved his big hand. Sword come. A divine weapon suddenly pierced through the wormhole and flew into his hands. Any little knight, I break it with a sword, set it from me. Yuanjie was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, unable to move in place. He hurriedly opened the Shinra heavenly sign, and abruptly withstood this sword, blessed the attack of the law of words. Lei, on a sunny day, a bolt of lightning thicker than a pillar slashed down towards Yuanjie's position. Genji turned on Susanoo, blocking the lightning energy and not hurting the slightest. Zhou Quan walked over indifferently, and he said towards Li Tiansha, kill him. Li Tiansha's body raised his fist uncontrollably and blasted towards Yuanjie. No, I can't do anything to you, but my body is out of control. Li Tiansha was so anxious that he almost cried. Yuanjie nodded. I know. His right eye turned on the illusion, hypnotizing Li Tiansha. Her body softened, and Yuanjie put it into the Shinwei space. Students, the rest of the scene, not you can deal with it. Let's all go in. Fengming, Li Ruxu and the others also knew that although they had talent, their cultivation was not high after all. The next thing will be a fight between the immortals, and you still don't get in the way here. The injured wind god was extremely happy in the crowd, but he didn't expect to be taken into the Shinwei space in the next second, and he cursed. And at this moment, suddenly Zhou Quan walked behind him and said to him, stop the heartbeat. Yuanjie's heartbeat suddenly only had 10 beats in 1 minute, and he felt like he was about to suffocate. Zhou Quan smiled. He finally found the correct way to use his words. Since his cultivation is 1 order lower than Yuanjie's current level, although the effect of words will take effect, it will be weakened. Yuanjie grabbed his chest and breathed heavily with difficulty. His face was solemn. He didn't expect that his words would be so against the sky with his power. In some cases, it was even more powerful than his strength and eyes. At this time, a woman dressed in white flew in front of him with a fairy air, and with a wave of her hand, the power of the law bound to Yuanjie's body immediately turned into rose petals. Are you alright? Yu Menghen asked with concern. It's okay, thanks. Yuanjie lowered his head and almost overturned just now. In mid-air of the Zhou mansion, there are currently only 5 people left, and shockingly, these 5 people are all SSS-level physique Great Late Realm powerhouses. True immortal fight. In the entire Great Xia dynasty, there were only a dozen geniuses with SSS-level physique left in the past 1,000 years. Today, there are 5 gathered here. Miss you, I didn't expect you to hide quite deeply. Yu Meng uncovered her mouth and chuckled, her beautiful eyes constantly looking at the man in the white mask. Actually, Yuan Gongzi, you also hide quite deeply. She actually recognized me? Yuanjie was unexpected. He gently took off the white mask, revealing the handsome face of the sword-eyed star. What? That mysterious man in the white mask is actually Yuanjie? When did he become so powerful? Do you remember the dark ages of Jingcheng 2 years ago? Don't say it, my scalp is numb when I think of Yuanjie. Therefore, if there is a sister, there must be a brother. The corner of Zhou Quan's mouth said with disdain, do you think that 3-2 will win steadily? Yuanjie, Yu Menghen, and Xiaonan were silent, just to see what tricks he played. Come, everyone obey the order, use it for me. He pointed to that side. Call me. The onlookers of the strong people, their bodies uncontrollably blasted towards the direction of Yuanjie and the three. Nope. First God, please don't misunderstand, I don't mean to be your enemy. Some people wailed sadly. This ability to speak according to the law is too against the sky. People with high strength, such as your Huaxu and Wang Badian, have no problem, but what about others? In the face of the collective move of the crowd of onlookers mixed with fish and dragons, Yuanjie only raised his hand lightly, and Shenluo Xian's hang rebounded all his attacks to the two masters of the Zhou family. Scatter, with a soft word. The attack move turned into floating smoke. Yuanjie frowned. He naturally knew that all the opponent's spells were launched through his mouth, as long as he could shut up. The question is, how can you seal his mouth? Brother, have you forgotten my ability? Xiaonan tilted his head and spoke. Yes, I know how. It's easy to say. It's just that I have been caught in a misunderstanding just now. So, he leaned down and lowered his head to whisper a few words in Xiaonan's ear. I didn't use the sound transmission because I was worried that it would be intercepted by a master. It is safest to speak face to face. Don't resist, my words are free, you can't deal with it at all, Zhou Quan said with disdain. Chapter 140. Is it? Xiaonan separated a blank piece of paper from his body and transformed into a pair of huge angel wings. Pieces of paper fluttered around Yuanjie, seemingly protecting him. Taking advantage of the gap between the papers, Yuanjie's right eye suddenly activated the power of heavenly hands. Swap with Zhou Quan's body. At the moment of exchange, the breath of the blank paper became furious. Actually, everyone is a detonator? Zhou Quan was scared, and he quickly shouted, fixed. This small area suddenly seemed to stand still in time, and even the explosion of the detonator was stuck in the air. Zhou Quan hurriedly left, but unexpectedly, in the next second, a cyan flash burst into his chest in advance, and Yuanjie stuffed an explosive charm that was about to detonate into his mouth at an extremely fast speed. The successive sudden situations made Zhou Quan unexpected, although the time was frozen, but all that Yuanjie did just now was done in a second, that is, before it stopped. Yuanjie opened the three major states at the same time, and the speed was unimaginable. Just when time stood still, the detonator in the mouth had already exploded. Zhou Quan's time stood still, only slightly salvaging the injury, so as not to be killed by a large group of detonating charms. However, his teeth and tongue were greatly injured, and he was now speechless. Although his ability is still there, just because of the leaky mouth and may give wrong instructions. Abominable, Zhou Quan looked resentfully at Yuanjie who was standing in front of him. He picked up the sword in his hand and stabbed towards Yuanjie. It's just that although he can make time stand still, human thinking is still there. The moment Genji saw him draw his sword, he turned on Susanoo. Ding! Susanoo blocked one of his swords. After slashing more than a dozen times in a row, Zhou Quan couldn't even leave a mark on Susanoo. He was furious. Give me a wave, break, then, something harmonious grew on his chest. Zhou Yuki looked at Zhou Quan's chest in shock, it seemed to be bigger than himself. Is this reasonable? She was fixed and looked anxious on the opposite side. Words are a double-edged sword, and if you don't set up a target, you can even pitch your teammates. Just now, Zhou Quan was exchanged for Yuanjie's position by the heavenly hand force, and what welcomed him was a large number of detonation charms. He didn't have time to think about it at all, and directly shouted that time was still. A little later, his little life will be lost. Zhou Yuki transmitted, untie the control, so that you can still fight. Zhou Quan hesitated again and again. After he ran away, he hid behind Zhou Yuki, and finally shouted, solution. Yuanjie said happily, you are quite good at playing, right? Then, his tone became cold and said lightly, okay, I don't have time to play with you. Law phase heaven and earth, open. Yuanjie had the great evening realm cultivation for the first time, and he wanted to know, who has his Dharma heaven and earth? I saw that behind him, a white-robed woman with pale skin and long blue-white hair opened her arms and protected Yuanjie. The woman is beautiful and beautiful, cold and noble, and her eyes are white, which makes her temperament more cold. What is striking is that this woman actually has a huge red eye on her forehead. This? 3 eyes, and 2 horns. I'm afraid it's not human, right? Yu Menghun saw Yuanjie's Dharma heaven and earth shadow for the first time, and she exclaimed. Yuanjie looked back curiously. It was actually the ancestor of Chakra, Kaguya-Heim? How did Kaguya Atsuki become his own Dharma world? At this time, he established a wonderful connection with Dharma heaven and earth. The corner of Yuanjie's mouth hooked, so it was. This world's law heaven and earth turned out to be like this. Dharma heaven and earth is a phantom independent of the character, with exclusive skills, and the body of the phantom society may not necessarily be. However, the shadow can cast the essence's skills and increase its power and range. He couldn't help but get excited, as the ultimate boss of Shippuden, although she only lived for a few episodes, no one could deny her strength. Just when Yuanjie was familiar with the use of the Foshyang heaven and earth Kaguya shadow, Joyuki raised his casserole-sized fist, like a rocket flying towards the three. Good to go. Just let me try the power of Dharma heaven and earth. Yuanjie laughed. 80 got air strike. Kaguya shadow flew in front of Yuanjie. She stretched out her right hand, and the fist shadows composed of chakra continued to wave. Joyuki kept dodging, but there were too many fist shadows. If you get the first hit, you get the second. She was a little confused by this trick, vomited blood in the air, and then fell heavily to the ground, delirium. At the time of his death, Joyuki was regretting, why was he entrusted with it? Why look down on people? Why don't you rush over the world? In fact, even if she opens the law heaven and earth, she can't beat Yuanjie. Yuanjie is a natural SSS-level physique, and she is such an acquired artificial SSS-level physique, which is simply not comparable. What a fast punch. How many punches did you punch out in this second? Have you ever counted the big guys? Yuanjie is worthy of being a scene person, and the skills of the law heaven and earth are also such a big scene. This move is too strong. I feel that the high-ranking gods can't withstand a punch in front of him. Is this the Dharma world of SSS-level physique? Terrifying. Xiaonan saw that Yuanjie's law heaven and earth were so violent, and she stomped her foot aggrievedly. Brother, you're so bad, you're making people beat soy sauce again. Yuanjie smiled. How can there be a reason for my sister to protect my brother? Then, he looked at the Zhou family powerhouse sitting on the ground, and the other lying on the ground. Words and methods are very powerful with this awakening, but your cultivation and talent are too weak, and your actual combat experience is almost zero, and you can't exert your true strength at all. It seems that you are no longer able to dance. In that case, kill the ashes together. From the back of Kaguya Atsuki, a hideous bone spur grew. She stretched out her hand, and Huinkwan Hirazuka appeared next to her, and a bone spur shot into it. Poof! Zhou Quan looked down at the bone spur in disbelief. He actually didn't even have time to react. You don't even know when you're attacking yourself. Then, from his chest, it gradually petrified and turned into a slope of loess. On the other side, Joyuki suffered the same fate. Zhou Qianyu, the head of the Zhou family, couldn't think of it. Why? Why do the Zhou family have two high-ranking gods with SSS-level physique, or can't beat Xiaoxiro? No. It should be said that it was almost Yuanjie who destroyed two high-ranking gods with top physiques alone. Yumengan and Xiaonan almost never made a move. She regretted why she didn't join the Huangfu family's hunting genius plan in the first place. Now, Yuanjie has grown up, and no one can resist it anymore. Can you tell me? My Zhou family has never targeted you. Why exterminate the clan? Before dying, Zhou Qianyu asked unwillingly. Yuanjie thought about it and smiled slightly. If you want to extinguish, you will be destroyed. Why do you need so many reasons? Maybe I hate rich people who do nothing evil. Chapter 141. The territory of the Zhou family is devastated, and the masters of the Wang family and the Yu family look at me. I look at you, and I don't know where to start. Yuanjie looked at the Susanoo experience card, and there was still half an hour left. He first released the people in the Shinwei space and said to them, you guys go back to school first. You don't have to interfere in the rest of the matter. But squad leader, aren't we going to fight together? Li Ruxu said with watery eyes. Well, I'll leave this person to you. Yuanjie threw the dying Zhou Qianyu in front of her. After killing her, Feng Ming, you take them back. Feng Ming nodded seriously. He probably knew why Yuanjie did this. Because he is a person who knows the organization. Even if he destroys many families, there will be no serious consequences. But his own group of people, who are still only students of the desolate ancient academy, there is no need to follow him to wave. Go, Xiaonan, let's go to Hong's house first. Yu Menghun wanted to keep up, but was rejected, and Yuanjie didn't want to have too much communication with her for the time being, although she was the legendary chief god. Seeing this, Yu Huaxu exchanged glances with Wang Badian. Both companies understand that the spoils must be divided fairly and reasonably, otherwise there may be unintended consequences. Wang Qing could only stand on the ground dumbly watching Yuanjie leave, her little hands clenched tightly. There are more and more women appearing around him, and the quality is getting better and better. Even the head god has thoughts about him, so what about himself? The so-called talent, in front of that group of women, seemed worthless. Nope. Brother Jay can only be mine. No one can take it away. Yuanjie took advantage of the less than half an hour left in the experience card to improve his strength, and immediately rushed to other families. Just now, he searched Zhou Qianyu's soul through the writing wheel eye, and he already knew which families the Zhou family had deals. The soul search of writing wheel eyes is different from the soul search of the human way, and writing wheel eyes will only make the other party delirious and even stupid, but the human way will directly take human lives. The first one, he chose the 14th ranked Hong family, although the Hong family had not bought the strengthening potion, but the Hong family was the enemy of the Ajuradeo. After he left Li Wenyu and Jiang behind, he immediately flew to other families. The Xiao Hong family is just 3 low-ranking gods, and I believe that only the 2 of them can easily handle it. In the next step, he wanted to destroy all the small families that had traded with the Zhou family. In order to prevent the spread of people who have been modified by the strengthening potion, Yuanjie did not engage in separation from that set, and directly buried it all, once and for all. So, he threw a ground explosion star from one family, and 20 small families, in less than half an hour, all destroyed. Finish work. It just so happened that the time for the experience of improving the strength on Yuanjie's body came. Xiao Nan looked at him in amazement, and she could sense that her brother's strength had returned to the 7th order of the fusion realm. It seems that some kind of secret method increases strength in a short time, right? Doesn't that mean I finally have a chance to protect my brother? Back at the Hong family, Ajuradeo alone turned the Hong family upside down. Li Wenyu did not let the beast make a move. He wanted to take revenge with his own hands. Hong family. Didn't expect that, right? 30 years of Hedon, 30 years of Hexi, your grandfather Li is back. In the main hall of the Hong family, the head of the Hong family suddenly shrank his pupils. This voice was too familiar to him. At that time, the Hong family was just a very small family, and since the industrial violence of the Li family was seized, it gradually developed into a top 20 family. The Li family originally operated the technology industry, which belongs to the software system industry with high-cost development and low-cost operation. The Li family has long been developed. As long as the Hong family grabs it, the bird can occupy the dove's nest once and for all. After the successful seizure, the Hong family spread its software system to almost all banks in Daxia, and even some local political districts in the national government were procured. After 100 years of operation, it can be said that it has made a lot of money, and seeing the ranking of the family, it can be promoted one step further. Unexpectedly, Li Wenyu actually came back. A person who has been dead for 100 years is actually reborn and returned? The Hong family panicked. From luxury to thrift, who is willing to let go of today's rich life? The head of the Hong family quickly ran out and persuaded in a low voice, when you and I are brothers and sisters, the Li family has disappeared, but my Hong family has passed on your will, and let the software you created shine, even more than in the past. I hope you can look at this and quit the Hong family. Li Wenyu smiled, his head twisted a few times, and 2 other heads actually grew. He took off Xiao's robe, revealing his true body inside. 3 heads and 6 arms? And there's a huge serration on the back. To kill me? Are you willing to be a monster? The head of the Hong family was stunned. Unexpectedly, in the next second, his abdomen was pierced by the huge serrations behind the Ajuradeo. You taught me, against the enemy, you must not be merciful. The sawtooth cut off the opponent's waist, revealing the blood inside. Immediately afterwards, the propulsion rocket behind the Ajuradeo rose into the air, and he showed all the weapons in his body. Hoops! Indescribable missiles shot out of him and bombarded Hong's house. Ha ha ha! The people of the Hong family fleeing everywhere, as well as listening to their fearful and painful voices, made Ajuradeo's expression excited. Is this the thrill of revenge? He licked the blood stained on the sawtooth, the head of the Hong family. Very fishy, but very sweet. When Yuanjie arrived, the Hong family basically had no living mouth. Yuanjie looked at the miserable situation below in disgust, and there was hardly any complete corpse. Burn it, lest the plague breed, Xiao Nan thought. She spread her huge angel wings and flew up, twisted 1,000 paper cranes in her right hand, and gently threw it down. After the 1,000 paper cranes landed, a huge explosion was generated, and at the same time, the flames spread, raging and burning throughout the Hongfu. It is said that the raging flames did not go out for a week. This time the Hong family and more than 20 small families were destroyed on a whim. And Yuanjie did not notify the people of the Wang family and the Yu family to wipe their asses. Smart people have long since begun to act. He just wanted other families to benefit from it, so that the threat to the Wang family and the Yu family in the family alliance would be reduced. Everyone is a beneficiary, so don't think of supporting the Huangfu family to sanction the Rain Kings. Perhaps they can also fight each other for territory and property. Man dies for profit, birds die for food. By the time he returned to the ancient academy, the academy had been dismissed. Li Qing waited in front of his small villa very early. When he saw Yuanjie returning, he looked displeased. "You went to destroy the Zhou family," Yuanjie grinned. "Not only that, but also the Hong family, the Fei family, the Wang family, more than 20 families. The whole army was wiped out in an hour." Li Qing felt that he couldn't lift it in one breath. This kid was really causing trouble. He could be regarded as deeply aware that Fang Yu, the dean of the Six-Dao Academy, had a headache. Confused, how can this kind of thing make you move? If you want to sanction, you should also wait for the people of the national government to do it. Li Qing said bitterly. In his opinion, Yuanjie was too naive, and he did things without considering the consequences. Yuanjie's eyes narrowed, and he mocked. "What? The dean won't still hope for that royal family, right? Wait for them to do it, unless the sun comes out of the west, never. Believe it or not, instead of thanking me, they will sanction me." Chapter 142. Li Qing shook his head. He didn't want to believe that the royal family would do such a thing. "The dean doesn't believe it." Li Qing still shook his head. He felt that he knew His Majesty's character very well, and he couldn't do such a stupid thing. Why sanction the SYO organization? Because our prestige among the people is much stronger than that of their royal family, threatening his imperial power. Besides, he probably thinks that the national government can beat the trumpet, right? Li Qing frowned. "It's not right for you to say that. That family was so rampant at the beginning, and I didn't see the national government make a move." Yuanjie patted Li Qing's shoulder and sighed. "You are too naive, Dean. It's not that he doesn't dare to make a move, nor does he want to make a move, but he is unwilling to make a move." Why? He was waiting for the academy and the family alliance to break the blood, and he could reap the benefits of a fisherman. However, you are very sensible and have not had a big conflict with the Saga alliance. Li Qing's eyes widened. He felt that what Yuanjie said was very reasonable, but he subconsciously didn't want to believe it. "But, Your Majesty, why did he finally treat the 6 Daos of the Desolate Ancient and Rinnegan Academy differently?" "It's nothing. The reason why he did this is because he feels that your academy has achieved nothing and has no use value, but Li Qing's cultivation is profound, and he needs to stabilize your heart to do this." Yuanjie smiled. "The most important thing is that you really think that the establishment of Xianxi Academy," he did not make a ghost behind it. Li Qing has always ignored this point, and the establishment of an academy in Daxia requires the certification of the national government. Even if it is Xianxi College, they must obtain the relevant certificates to run the school. It is clear that the man wanted the two factions to re-establish their contradictions and fight each other again. He didn't care at all whether the Desolate 6 Dao could beat the family or not, but it was not the best. In that case, the royal family could accept it in an upright manner and become his own asset. Yuanjie didn't believe that there were only 6 gods in the country. If this is really the case, the royal family is long gone, and cannot survive to this day. Previously, according to Dean Li Qing, almost all of the people who went to the border were masters of the academy, and the 6 gods of the national capital needed to stay in the territory to maintain the stability of the Great Xia dynasty. However, what happened to the Flying Tiger General Li Sua today? There is no doubt that there are definitely some powerful generals outside the border who have not returned. In this way, there must be more than 6 gods in the territory. In this way, the national government is the deepest hidden. But the question is, since the strength of the national government is so strong, why has it not been done to the family for hundreds of years? Instead, they are indifferent to the brutal killing of civilians by the family, turn a blind eye and stand idly by? This question is worth pondering. In the final analysis, they still want to stabilize the rule of the Xiang royal family. It is estimated that the people of the royal family are worried that once there is a frontal conflict with the family, Both will lose, and what if there's a rebellion in the territory at that time? Anyway, the hundreds of billions of people in Daksha, it doesn't matter if millions of ordinary people die, as long as the imperial power is preserved. Guote Minin, there are always people who shed blood and sacrificed. You did not die in vain, you gave your lives for your country. Yuanjie was thinking that the people of the royal family had been secretly accumulating strength over the years, while cruelly ignoring the family and secretly provoking the emotions of the people. At that time, as long as the royal family annihilates the family in one fell swoop, it can not only obtain more benefits, but also once again improve the prestige of the national government among the people and consolidate the imperial power. Instead of icing on the cake, it's better to give charcoal in the snow. That's exactly the truth. As for the people who are mixed into the family among the officials of the national government, that is better explained. However, the emergence of the Zio organization disrupted the royal family's plans. Originally, that heroic role should be played by the royal family. How can you be robbed of credit by a Zio organization? Dean, go back and wait. If nothing else, there will be an announcement before tonight, Yuanjie solemnly said to Li Qing. I hope that when the time comes, you can make a decision not to disappoint me. After returning home, Yuanjie suddenly found two gadgets stuck to his body. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can only perceive it with divine sense. This is, Yuanjie took it off curiously, and suddenly exclaimed, it's actually a godhead? It turns out that if you defeat the god with the name on the list of gods with your own hands, you can obtain the corresponding godhead. The two godheads are combined into one, and the highest rank is automatically selected. How is it 33-bit? So crotch pulling? Yuanjie was speechless, but it was a pity that the two newly promoted SSS-level physique powerhouses of the Zhou family were destroyed by themselves before they obtained a higher godhead. Alice, the opportunity to lose a high god. Yuanjie then thought that his sister seemed to be ranked 32nd, and he was 33rd, and there seemed to be providence. The godhead in his hand turned into a token and appeared in Yuanjie's hand. On the token, gold flashed continuously, prompting him to name. One or both are called gods? But are they really worthy of being called God? Yuanjie mused, in my opinion, only one name is the real God. He still can't forget the strong sense of oppression brought by that person when he first met. Destruction, rebirth, all the contradictions of all are concentrated on it. He silently carved those two words on the token. On the other hand, the Maison Alliance held an impromptu emergency meeting on what happened this afternoon. Huangfu Gongyan, who was sitting in the right position, looked up and swept around. Originally it was a meeting of 100 families, but now there are only more than 60 left. This organization has destroyed the Saga Alliance in 1 month, and more than 30 allies have fallen. What can he do with Emperor Fu Gongyan? People are the top powerhouses above the Big Knight, not to mention the mysterious master. It is Zionan, and it is difficult for him to target the Huangfu family alone. Alliance Master, I propose that it is time to gather the Alliance 28 gods to fight against the Zio organization. Huangfu Gongyan shook his finger and said, you miscalculated. The gods of the Ning family, the Zhou family, and the Hong family are all dead, and now there are only 20 gods left in the Alliance. Everyone, so what to do? Is it possible to watch the Zio organization destroy the partners in the Alliance one by one? Someone said sadly. The alliance of the Maisons, married to each other, is a brother-in-law. If one family is destroyed, who can guarantee that the next one will not be them? Lips and teeth are cold, this is exactly the truth. Wang Badian was drinking tea in his position. Yes, it was indeed tea. This goods brought a pot of tea to the meeting. Everyone drank mineral water, he drank tea. The strength of the Wang family is stronger, and with the confidence to fight with the Huangfu family, he floats. The tea fragrance was overflowing, but everyone felt strange. After drinking a cup of tea, Wang Badian closed the lid lightly and said, I am against it. It is not appropriate for the Saga Alliance to confront the Zio organization head-on now. Objection is invalid. Raise your hand and vote. Rub. Almost all the families below raised their hands, but only the 3 major families hesitated before raising their hands in the end. Yu Huaxu saw that the Huangfu family voted in favor, and she exchanged glances with Wang Badian, so she raised her hand. It's broken, the entire family alliance. It seems that the Wang family did not raise their hand. Someone from the small family just wanted to exit, but was stopped by Wang Badian's raised hand. Hey, I know you're in a hurry, but don't worry, my royal family, as the 3 major families of the Saga Alliance, has a veto power. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143. Heads of all families. Someone stood up angrily and said, "You are playing a trick like this." Wang Badian spread his hands. "It doesn't matter, you can also think so." Huangfu Gaogayan saw that the two were arguing, and he said impatiently, "Since the Decepticon does not agree, let's raise your hand again to vote." Rub, I didn't expect that Wang Badian was actually the first person to raise his hand this time. People raised their hands in favor, and they couldn't say anything. However, this time, the family owners who raised their hands in favor did not have more than the previous wave, because someone saw that the Wang family was opposed, so they hesitated. As the alliance master, Huangfu Gaogayan was difficult to express his opinion in advance, and it was not until the end that he slowly raised his hand, because he saw the head of the Yu family playing with his mobile phone there. This round of voting, in the end, it was the turn of the Rain and Snow to raise his hand. Yu Huaxu raised his head for a long time, put down his mobile phone, and said faintly, "Are you family?" As the three major families of the alliance, like the Wang family, has a veto power. Many small families know that the so-called three major families are playing with them. This was originally set up to avoid a monopoly and a dictatorship. I never expected that one day this rule would actually trip me. Since the discussion has no result, then forget it, disperse. Huangfu Gaogayan's face was gloomy, and he naturally knew what the Rain King family had done recently. However, he didn't have any way. He was even reflecting, why didn't the Zio organization find the Huangfu family to share the loot? He didn't know that the mysterious man in the white mask was Yuanjie. Because he has seen his true face, he either dies or is cleared by Yuanjie with his chakra eye. Yuanjie has not yet been promoted to the Great Evening Realm, so he will continue to create a mysterious and powerful image. Huangfu Gaogayan thought that maybe it was because the Zio organization was related to Yuanjie, which caused him to have always had views on himself. No, you must quickly establish a good relationship with Yuanjie. You can't wait any longer. Huangfu Gaogayan suddenly became anxious, and he watched the video of the Zhou family's battle tonight. Those more than 30 boulders fell from the sky, so chickens are terrifying. If it was placed in their Huangfu's house, he would be fine, but the clan would not be so lucky. Establish a good relationship, even if you cannot participate in the sharing of the loot in the future. At the very least, you may avoid the risk of being exterminated. Li Qing returned to the office with a heavy heart, and he carefully recalled what Yuanjie told him. Yuanjie's words are not unreasonable, but he has never thought about this aspect. If the royal family is really as Yuanjie said, then His Majesty's mind is too cruel, right? How about talking to your Majesty? Then Li Qing vetoed this decision, and now going to His Majesty is equivalent to adding fuel to the fire. Let's wait first. The destruction of two big families and more than a dozen small families is a big deal for Daxia, and the national government will definitely take action. Li Qing is now afraid that the royal family will not speak out and continue to acquiesce in this behavior. The Jingchang earthquake soon spread the events of this afternoon through the streets. In order to curry favor with Yuanjie, whether it is paper media or online media, the Huangfu family will vigorously publicize this matter. A live TV team was even sent to report in front of the ruins of the Zhou and Hong families. With the media opinion power of the Huangfu family, this matter spread in the territory of Daxia at an extremely fast speed. In addition, Zio organization has achieved another great result. There were newsboys shouting in the streets with newspapers. In tea houses across the country, almost every diner is talking about it. It seems that the rectification of the family still has to see the organization. Indeed, for hundreds of years, the royal family has not dared to put a single fart in front of the family. What rubbish. SHHHH, do you want to be jailed? HMPH, the royal family that only dares to do something to the common people, I think, you beware of being arrested by the people of the government. The same table immediately covered her mouth. Like them, many people only dare to praise the Zio organization, but dare not have ideas about the royal family. Over the years, the royal family has not managed much, and its ruling power over the common people has been deeply strengthened. Not only did taxes increase, but a mysterious force was specially arranged to monitor it. If anyone dares to say a bad word to the royal family, they will be immediately arrested and detained. Therefore, Yuanjie did not hear the public's opinion of the royal family in Jianhua, and no one dared to discuss it. Who dares to talk nonsense? Be careful with prison meals. At this time, the royal family, who had been living in the deep palace for a long time, suddenly received this shocking news when they were brushing short videos. Soon, a graceful woman ran into the imperial study crying, and the middle-aged man took her into his arms. "Concubine, why are you crying so sadly? Woohoo, your majesty, my home is gone, you must be the master for me. The appearance of Jogifai's pear blossom with rain, I see pity." She cried for a long time before she was barely pacified by the middle-aged man, but the tears hanging on her nose made the middle-aged man feel more distressed after seeing it. "Concubine, I promise you, that Zhao organization destroyed your Zhou family for no reason, and I must make them pay the price of blood. Come, intend, sue the world. From now on, the Zhao organization is judged by the state government to be a cult organization. If you see someone dressed in auspicious clouds and black robes, report it meritoriously. In addition, order the desolate ancient academy and the 6-Dao academy to expel Yuanjie and never hire him. From now on, devote the efforts of the whole country to arrest and bring to justice." Concubine Zhou interjected, "Your Majesty, there is also Li Tiansha, who has a good relationship with him." The middle-aged man patted Concubine Zhou's plain hand and nodded. A series of holy decrees were issued from the palace, and the Saga Alliance received the news as soon as possible. Many people cheered, and the Zhao organization, which was hanging the sword above his head, finally someone dealt with it. What they didn't expect was that the person who made the move turned out to be the national government. In their view, the Zhao organization is actually doing the royal family a great favor, weakening the family, and invisibly consolidating the imperial power. It seems that this emperor is really an idiot. Laugh me to death. Since the Zhao organization can make the alliance of the family with 28 gods fearful, and only the weak royal family of the 6 gods actually dare to charge with an iron head, the family has been raging for hundreds of years, and I have never seen the emperor hardened once. No one thinks that the strength of the organization is weaker than the family, right? There was a lot of discussion among the people, and the holy decree issued by the royal family set off a wave of shock among the people, and almost every family talked about it after tea. Since there are so many people talking about it, they dare to say all kinds of things. The mysterious troops are in a dilemma, these people, to catch or not to catch? As the so-called law does not blame the public, the people gradually began to be unscrupulous. Just 2 hours after the royal wanted order was issued, a notice was posted online one after another. Imperial spirit god Yuanjie, together with the 2 SSS-level partners, announced that he had joined Zhao, and he was at odds with the dimming royal family of the great Xiaoxiang clan. There's me without him. Ancient Academy Wind God Jianhao joined the Zhao organization, 6-Dao Academy Taiyang God and Moon Dance God joined the Zhao organization. An elite class of the Wasteland Academy swears that they will never serve the Shuang's royal family. The second class of the Wasteland Academy seconded, the third class of Arago Academy. Come on. After the decision of the family meeting, the Yu family and Zhao advance and retreat together, and they are enemies of Zhao, that is, they are enemies of the Yu family. The joint statement of Huanggu College and Liudao College, that Yuanjie and Yuanjie are excellent students of our school with good morality, intelligence, beauty and physical work. Chapter 144. This series of announcements was issued, which made the people of Daksha a little dizzy. What's going on? Suddenly, 1 and 2 gods announced that they had joined Zhao. At this time, the family alliance was in the middle of the meeting, and some small family owners noticed the announcement of the Rain family and immediately raised their heads to question the rain and snow. What's going on with your Yu family? How can you be with thieves? Yu Hozuli raised her eyebrows, and she said she didn't know. You may not know our Yu family. In the Yu family, the first god has all the right to speak, and I, the head of the family, am just a worker. The meaning of rain and snow is very clear. You have an opinion, please go to the first god yourself and don't look for me. But did the ghost believe her words? Will the head of the family have no say? Are you cheating on 3-year-olds? Yu Huaxu stared at everyone below with a smile, but his eyes were a little cold. How? Think my Yu family is doing something wrong? Then you have the ability to quit the alliance. What are you forcing Li to do here? You, the head of the small family who had questioned just now, was so angry that a mouthful of old blood spurted out. In fact, the most dependent on the family alliance is not the big family, but the small family. Last time the Ning family had an accident, It was just a few small families who shouted that they wanted to break away from the alliance. Most small families still have to rely on the three major families, both economically and in terms of strength. To come out and go it alone is to look for death. Once the alliance gives you sanctions, it is not an exaggeration that you will not be able to open the pot for half a month. Wang Badian's eyes flashed. He quickly took out his mobile phone, clicked into the official blog of the Yu family, and copied and pasted. When I was changing the word, I didn't expect a box to pop up. The Huangfu family blogger you follow has posted a new message. This old 6, Wang Badian looked up at Huangfu Gonggayan, and saw that this product put away the mobile phone, as if nothing had happened. Ahem, so be it. I personally still think that the Saga Alliance has to be friendly with the Zio organization. There is no eternal enemy. In the past, maybe they had many misunderstandings with us. Since the misunderstanding has been resolved, I believe that we and the Zio organization can still become friends. Huangfu Gonggayan said so, and the family master below was not easy to refute anything. In fact, this time the Zhou family brought a group of small families. They knew some insiders. Wang Badian hurriedly sent out the notice, and then said with a smile, since the lords of the Huangfu Alliance have said so, then our family alliance and Zio have organized a fight for the jade. Huangfu Gonggayan secretly scolded, old fox. I have to say that Yuanjie still benefits from distributing the benefits to the Yu family and the Wang family. When the announcement of the Huangfu family and the Wang family was issued, everyone was stunned again. It's really strange, isn't the Zio organization a monopoly family? Why did the three major families stand up for them? Probably, put it down, right, God TM put down, obviously he was scared. They were afraid that they would perish like the Zhou family. As soon as the announcement of the three major families announcing their support for Zio was issued, it once again aroused heated discussions. Yuanjie, who was eating dinner at home, did not pay attention to the situation outside, and in his opinion, the practice of this royal family was excusable and unexpected. What? People from the Huangfu family want to see me? On his mobile phone, Yu Meng'an called. Okay, when? Now, they've been at the gate of the desolate ancient academy for a long time. Yuanjie quickly finished eating, put on a coat and walked out in slippers. Huangfu Gonggayan saw Yuanjie from a distance, and he beckoned excitedly and shouted, Brother Yuanjie, we are here. Yuanjie walked over, and the clansmen of the Huangfu family first saluted, and then Huangfu Gonggayan took out 10 space rings, which were filled with various precious treasures, as well as a lot of gold spirit coins. Brother Yuanjie, there have been many misunderstandings in the past. I hope you have a lot of adults. The corner of Yuanjie's mouth tugged. Why did this Huangfu Gonggayan lick so much? It's not used to it. But if you think about it, it is also in line with their family's bullying and hard-fearing personality. Good to say, Yuanjie silently put away the space ring. Huangfu Gonggayan asked, Brother Yuanjie, the royal family's holy will, what do you think? What else can you see? 2 eyes to see. No, I mean, do you want us to help you reveal the truth? This is what our Huangfu family is best at doing, Yuanjie mocked, referring to deer as horses, turning black and white upside down. Right, in the past, the Huangfu family did not use the media to smear the rival academy. But when it came to the powerful Zio organization, they did not dare to do so. Yuanjie thought about it carefully. This is good, let it be announced. The blow to the royal family is not small. Since he wants to pick peaches, he will pick them all, and by the way, he will pee under the tree, leaving the 6 words Yuanjie to visit here. So, Yuanjie threw a bag to Huangfu Gonggayan and said, there is something you want in it. You guys are busy, I'm going back to dinner. Originally, the old man also wanted to invite Brother Yuanjie to Huangfu's house as a guest. Next time, Yuanjie kicked the slippers and left. Huangfu Gonggayan looked deeply at his back and couldn't help but breathe a long sigh of relief. The Huangfu family, it should be saved, right? After obtaining the relevant evidence, the Huangfu family quickly launched a campaign, using the public opinion attack they are best at. On the internet, you hardly see any bad news about the Zio organization, because all of them have been banned by the people of the Huangfu family. Instead, it's a big wave of whitewashing. It's not whitewashing, it's just to say that the facts are magnified. Why did the Zio organization destroy the Ning family, the Zhou family, the Hong family and other families? And the truth behind it was silent and tearful. This wave of assists made the people of Daxia wake up. It turned out that the Zhou family betrayed the country for glory and introduced foreign poison in an attempt to destroy Daxia. Such a good organization was actually maliciously judged as a cult. The import and export are all controlled by the national government. Do you say that the royal family is involved? What is the use of such a royal family? Brother, be quiet. They are very powerful to our small people. Not only that, in the palace. Do you think there is a noble concubine in the Zhou family? Soon, the emperor listened to Zhou Gifei's rumors, and in order to appease the beauty, the news that he had indiscriminately issued a ban order to Zhao Organized came out. The prestige of the royal family has plummeted among the people of Daxia. Dusk Kun, who covets beauty. Daxia has him, it is for misfortune. Don't talk about the common people, even many officials in the state government think it is inappropriate. The people in the palace may not know it, but the magistrate knows it. Since the emergence of the Zhao Organization, a large number of families have been punished, and the local giants they manage have been much more honest. The royal family's disregard for the family's atrocities is not only resentful in the hearts of the people, but also sowing the seeds of anger among the public servants. Looking forward to the stars and the moon, someone finally came forward. As a result, your emperor banned the hero in order to please the beauty. Chapter 145. The next morning, the custom of the great Xia dynasty, the maid still shouted in an impatient tone, "If something starts, nothing retreats, your majesty, the minister has something to do." The flying tiger general stepped forward, bowed his head and said. The middle-aged man sitting on the dragon chair showed displeasure. He originally just wanted to come over and punch out of work, but you have nothing to do with his goods. Say something. Wei Chen begs his majesty to withdraw the ban issued yesterday. Boom. As soon as General Flying Tiger's words came out, the entire court suddenly became noisy. At this time, an old man wearing a civil official uniform stood up and said with disdain, just as the so-called Zhenwu joke, His Majesty has announced to the world, how can there be any reason to take it back? The reason why I asked for this is because I feel that it is not appropriate for the imperial court to be an enemy of the Zhao Organization at present. The old man laughed loudly, laughing at the old man. My great Xia mansion, how can I ever fear others? Akatsuki Organization, what is it afraid of? What about the family? The one who spoke was another returned general, named Byakugan, who had only returned from outside the border some time ago. Unexpectedly, as soon as he came back, he found that his home was gone, and he almost beaten him to death. After investigation, I learned that as early as 200 years ago, shortly after he joined the army, a family lady took a fancy to his beautiful lady, who swore to death, fought hard, and accidentally lost her life. In order to hide their eyes, that family had to destroy his entire family. As soon as Byakugan arrived outside, he encountered a spirit beast tide that was rare for 1,000 years, and the connection with the territory was temporarily severed, and he thought that he would be able to return in a few years, but he did not expect that the spirit beast tide lasted for 100 years. Later, when the family learned that Byakugan had become a general, they arranged for someone to impersonate his wife, and for decades there was sweet talk and constant communication, which was also troublesome. When he knew the truth, Byakugan drew his sword on the spot and rushed to the family, but was stopped by the marshal, saying that the people of the state government did not receive His Majesty's order and were not allowed to attack the family casually. Byakugan put away the knife with red eyes. Their revenge cannot be repaid. What kind of truth is this? He sneaked out of the barracks and ran to the family, witnessing the razing of the Zhao Organization to the ground. He took advantage of the fact that before the earth exploded the stars landed. He slashed a few streets, and finally let out a small breath of evil. In his heart, he was grateful to the Zhao Organization, and he was indescribable to the person sitting on it. The old man of the civil official was choked by Byakugan's words, and said, the national government is in decline, and forbearance is the best choice. Forbearance? So, is connivance also forbearance? When Byakugan said this, he raised his head and looked at the middle-aged man on the dragon chair. Be bold. Dare to despise Saint Wei? Questioning the decision of the Holy Lord? Some guards have already rushed into the hall, but they are stopped by the generals. Byakugan was completely open-minded, and he sadly retold his story briefly. Then, he looked around and asked, I don't know what happened to you, I just know that I joined the army for 260 years and devoted most of my life to the national government, but my home is gone. It was gone 240 years ago, but why did he ignore that person? Let the madman get away with it, and even develop and promote to the top 20 families of Jingchen. I'm out there killing enemies to protect everyone, but what about my little family? Who can protect my little home? The marshal loudly reprimanded him. Don't talk nonsense here. When Byakugan learned of the demise of his whole family, he had long put life and death on the line. He continued, you and I are originally secular children, and we joined the national government to find a place to stay. But did he protect our family? Have you ever taken the initiative to get justice for us? No. He didn't do anything. What are we throwing our heads and spilling blood for? In order to protect the big Xia family, and let their small family live a better life? Many soldiers bowed their heads, and they felt the same way. Isn't it that there is a desire to go home to support you? And now, home is gone, what is the point of fighting by yourself? If I were given a chance to do it all over again, I would never choose to play for you. I might as well be in the same boat with my family. Even if I die, I have to die together. Byakugan's heart was cold, and when he was told that the people of the national government could not do anything to the family, he couldn't wait to take off his official robe immediately. What national capital? What civil servant? What general? He cannot want all. He would rather give up everything and avenge his family with his own hands. Isn't learning martial arts to protect the people you want to protect? Now, with the indirect help of the SYNOPSIS organization, he finally took revenge on his family. But his leaders will denounce his benefactors. He defy. The scene in the imperial court was out of control, and the guards of the Forbidden Army were stopped by many generals by force, and the others could only be forced to listen to Byakugan's words. The middle-aged man on the dragon chair sighed, not that he didn't want to stop it, but he couldn't stop it. Now, if he didn't come out to explain and appease, don't say that when the family called, his backyard caught fire first. Yes, the power of the army is in the hands of his emperor, but the soldiers without generals are like scattered sand, and it is difficult to exert their due combat effectiveness. Moreover, generals are promoted from many soldiers, and they are the best in both resourcefulness and force. Xiangmoften suddenly felt that he was doing a good job as an emperor. Alice, General Byan, you are not in his position, you do not seek to govern, you do not understand the difficulties of Zhuan. Byakugan smiled. What are your difficulties, you tell me? The 20 top masters of the national capital are all in the territory, and there are many generals outside the border, who can be summoned back at any time. How many are there on the side of the family? Why do people know that only 2 gods dare to make a move on the family, and you don't pull a few handfuls of strength? You know better than me, the true strength of the national government. What? There are actually so many masters hidden in the national government? At this moment, even the civil officials were stunned. Didn't they say that there were only 6 gods in the territory? The idea that His Majesty has been instilling in them is that the strength of the national government is weak now, and it is not suitable to confront the family for the time being. Although they once suspected that hundreds of billions of people, the family giants only accounted for 1%, there is no reason why 9 out of 10 people are less than 1/10, right? Seeing that His Majesty's face had not changed in the slightest, they knew that what General Byan said should be true. Now they really can't understand the Emperor's heart. Do you want to? Reaping hearts? It's not right. The national government has allowed a family to cause chaos for hundreds of years and has not come forward. Even if the national government stands up to fight the evil deeds of the family now, it is just a remedy, and the people will not thank you at all, because this is what you should do. It's just that this justice came hundreds of years late. The middle-aged man raised his hand to look at his watch and lost patience. You said it, Marshal Li. I ordered you to take him down with your own hands, drag him out and behead. Chapter 146. And slow, it was the Flying Tiger General who spoke out. I want to ask your Majesty the question, why is the SYNOPSIS organization recognized as a cult organization when it attacks the Zhou family? Are they really doing it wrong? After speaking, the Flying Tiger General took out the results of the investigation, as well as the playback beads that Yuanjie threw him, half a bottle of strengthening potion, and his own clinical trial report. Originally, I didn't believe their words, and I didn't find out until I went to check it myself. It turns out that what they said is true. The Flying Tiger General threw out so many convincing things at once, which shocked everyone. Moreover, as far as I know, this clinical trial report was originally handed over to His Majesty by Dean Li Qing of the Desolate Ancient Academy, and it must have been mentioned to His Majesty. I don't know what decision His Majesty made at that time, and I didn't ask Dean Li Qing. What decisions are made? People with a bit of intelligence guessed it, and it was obvious that His Majesty wanted to turn big things into small things and small things into small things. It's just that he didn't expect that the Zio organization actually didn't say hello and fired directly. After the Flying Tiger General finished speaking, he did not force His Majesty and quietly retreated back. The court fell silent again. The middle-aged man's face was very ugly, and he was about to be furious, but he changed back abruptly. The Flying Tiger General has done a good job in investigating, and he should be rewarded. He mentioned it casually, and there was no follow-up. His Majesty's meaning is very clear. The Flying Tiger General is his own person, but Zio is not. They're doing this to slap the royal family in the face. After dispersing, Byakugan was taken away by a group of forbidden troops. I never imagined that the generals who fought bloody battles for the country all their lives eventually died at the hands of their own people. The generals were so sad that they begged the marshal to save Byakugan. The marshal shook his head helplessly. Alice, whoever told him to fend the dragon scales is an adult, and some things should be said inappropriately, and he should know it in his heart. Marshal, if one day we end up with General Byakugan, will you come to the rescue? The marshal was stunned. We, as courtiers, should understand the truth. The king wants the subject to die, and the minister has to die. The general took off his robe and saluted. Marshal, thank you for your grace of cultivation, toothless and unforgettable. The marshal frowned, and he hurriedly lifted it up. Why are you here? I want to live well for myself, General. Precious, precious. The marshal had thought before that His Majesty's approach would definitely chill many generals in the army, but he did not expect that the consequences would be so serious. More than half of the returning generals in the army took off their battle robes, resigned from official duties, and were disarmed and returned to the fields. Some of them went home to spend the remaining time with their families, some took up spears to avenge their families, and some were completely disappointed in the royal family. Let's go, let's all go. The marshal slumped in his chair and was silent for a long time. No one in the national government knows the true combat power of Zio. And no one in the family publicizes that there is a big night in the organization. However, now the strength on the bright side, the visible organization, there are 5 registered gods. They are Yuanjie, Yuanjie, Wind God, Tenseigan God, and Moon Dance God. Li Tiansha turned over and couldn't sleep all night. He is reflecting, did he do something wrong? If he hadn't done anything wrong, then why did the gods of the 2 major academies of the desolate 6th Dao, except for himself and the Earth God King, all choose to join the Zio organization? Last night, he chatted with Yaheo, the god of the wind, and the other party's words made him think for a long time. Dean, to be honest, you are too indecisive to be a leader. Li Tiansha recalled his past, and indeed compromised many things for the development of the college, including Jiang, who had been admitted in advance, and was brutally killed by Ning Yaowei in public. At that time, for the sake of peaceful development, he chose to swallow his anger and did not give up. He didn't feel wrong at the time, but now that he thinks about it, it's really wrong. Am I old and no longer have the youthful vitality of a young man? Although Li Tiansha did not leave youth in half a sentence, in fact, he knew that youth was exactly what he yearned for, and he always wanted to reach the realm of never backing down. It is precisely because he can't do it now, so he hopes that others can do it and realize his dreams. Li Tiansha's body has carried too many bonds, and he can no longer be willful youth. After thinking for a long time, thinking about it, he finally closed his eyes. It didn't take long for him to be summoned to the palace by His Majesty. Li Tiansha, don't you put Su in your eyes? Li Tiansha was stunned. Why did Your Majesty say that? You asked you to fire Yuanjie and Yuanjie, as well as Li Tianshao and Yuanjie. Why do you still keep them until now? Your Majesty, I think your proposal is biased. Li Tiansha pondered for a while and replied. Oh, the middle-aged man slapped the table angrily and cursed. Believe it or not, I will immediately revoke the qualifications of your desolate ancient academy in 6th Dao College, so that you will never be able to recruit students. Li Tiansha frowned and said slowly, Your Majesty, you're over, so, you're sure you're going to keep them, aren't you? Li Tiansha retorted, they are all my students, I know them better than you, they are definitely not what you think, but if they want to be bad for the royal family, I can't keep them. But they didn't disadvantage Daxia, the middle-aged man said proudly, my Shuang's royal family is the great Xia dynasty, not good for us, that is, bad for Daxia. Li Tiansha opened his mouth, but after all, he couldn't say a word. The middle-aged man regained his kind face and solemnly patted Li Tiansha's shoulder. Ai Tiansha, go back, I believe you will definitely make the right decision. I see." After Li Qing said this, he lowered his head and left the imperial study room. More than half of the generals in the army left, and the middle-aged man did not make much retaining, but just said that it was good to gather and disperse. Then behind the scenes, send the masters of the royal family to wipe them out one by one. Since it can't be used by me, why kill it? Generals can be retrained, and what our Shuang's royal family needs is not Erwaze, but people who are loyal to the imperial dynasty. This operation made the already unstable military spirit even more shaken. It's just that the remaining generals, taking care of their families, did not impulsively announce their departure from the state capital. At this time, Yuanjie stopped with Sister Yuanjie's retaliation. "Sister, don't worry, let the bullets fly for a while. For now, Yuanjie is still safe, and the two academies have made it clear that they will not expel them. Moreover, the Huangfu family is also on the sidelines, and in public opinion, they are invincible." In ancient feudal society, rebellion required three major conditions. They are class contradictions, basic strength, and political needs. At present, the Xiang royal family still has a certain prestige in the Great Xia dynasty. And now, Yuanjie is going to add a fire to it. Chapter 147. The first thing Yuanjie had to do was to kill all the foreigners in Jingcheng, leaving no one behind. In order to force foreign countries to put pressure on the royal family of Daxia, it depends on the attitude of the royal family to the outside world, whether it is hard or soft. As the capital of the Great Xia dynasty, Jingcheng is intertwined with many foreign strongholds. Yuanjie arranged Pain 5 Dao, one by one, and the means were extremely cruel. However, in the end, there will always be a random person left to report the message. For a time, a raging fire ignited at the intersection of the major states in Jingcheng, alarming countless citizens. Well burned. I have long been unhappy with this group of yellow-haired boys. This is Daxia, not a place where they do evil. Yes, these people hold that they are Gentiles, think that they are superior, and oppress the people everywhere. Who says it isn't? But how can this be explained by the fact that the government treats Gentiles and never asks about sin? How to explain? People from foreign countries are not punished by the laws of the Great Xia dynasty, and they are not the same kind as us. Haha, you're small, right? The royal family is to maintain peaceful and friendly relations between the two states. The Huangfu family not only followed the report, but even wrote a peerless article. Yellow hair and black skin, Ning has a kind of who? It gives two examples with very sharp contrasts. In the same city, there were people from the Black Duck country, molesting the woman of Daxia, but was stopped by her husband, and the two clashed, and the people of the Black Duck country killed the man of Daxia, and after only half a year of confinement, he was transferred back to China, which was almost equivalent to acquittal. The same thing happens later, the same cause, only the result is different. The man of the Great Xia dynasty was an awakened physique, and killed the man of the Black Duck country who molested his wife, and was sentenced to death by hanging. Both cases are well documented, not fabricated. It turns out that the lives of the Gentiles are indeed more noble than those of the Daxia people. This article has been liked by a large number of netizens, causing heated discussions, and even reprinted hundreds of millions of times in a short period of time. If you want to say that in the Great Xia dynasty, the largest water army must be the Huangfu family. This is what they are best at doing. It can be said that they have a specialization in the art industry, and even Yuanjie has to be convinced. In the past, the academic school was not less smeared by them, what food poisoning, class discrimination and so on. This time, the Huangfu family pointed the spearhead at the national capital, and they were even more fearless, and even shook out the black material from 1,000 years ago. Soon, the Gentiles immediately put pressure on the Xiangji royal family to force them to sign an unequal treaty. Demand that the royal family hand over the murderer, and attach huge compensation 100 million gold spirit coins per human life. The royal family originally wanted to put it on the table, saying that there is a debt and a master, and you have to compensate yourself to find the organization to ask for it. But people in foreign countries don't care, so many of you, what you don't know, they are all from the Great Xia dynasty, and you have to bear the consequences of your royal family. The middle-aged man hated that Xia organization, and he caused himself such a big trouble for no reason. Today, the people are looking at themselves. In case of compromise, the prestige of the royal family will plummet. Hit rock bottom. 5 days have arrived, and many foreign countries have gathered armed teams to put pressure on the border. The royal family simply issued a strong warning and the negotiations were gone. The Huangfu family sent war correspondents to broadcast the war situation outside the border. There are more people following it. The Flying Tiger general was sent to guard the border. Marshal, although there are many people on the other side, our Daksha is the #1 power, why fear them? The marshal had a gloomy face. Your Majesty said, you can't fight. What are we going to do if we don't fight? Acting? You'll see. Finally, after several days of confrontation, the Flying Tiger general couldn't bear it anymore and directly bombarded the coalition forces. Without any accident, the coalition army was beaten to pieces, and he fled in a hurry, without any way to fight back. The people cheered and praised the military power of the great Xia dynasty. The result was unexpected. The battle was won here, but an unequal treaty was secretly signed there. What the hell? Isn't it a win? Why lose money? Are you kidding me? This royal family is really XX. Brother, those 2 words of yours are harmonized. Be careful. Lao Tzu has lived most of his life, and he has never seen such a humiliating scene. You guys want to start a little, aren't they all the same? The content of the treaty that the Huangfu family didn't know where to get it from, and it was directly announced in major media channels, which aroused public indignation even more. Not only a large sum of money was lost, but even the islands in the east and west were ceded. Not to mention the people, many public officials in the state government can't look past it. What's the game? The first power blows JX? Don't look at it, don't look at it, look at the key, natural soft bones. It's okay to be soft on the family, after all, they're all their own people, but I didn't expect that my race would also kneel. This royal family is not saved, so disband it as soon as possible. If I hadn't had no strength, I would have built it earlier. Everything was in Yuanjie's plan, but this result was a little unexpected to him. Yuanjie found him, and he quickly raised his hand and vowed, I really don't have illusions to control them. They all did it themselves, and it has nothing to do with me. It seems that it's time, Yuanjie muttered. Yuanjie smiled. No, it's not time yet. He and Li Tiansha are still the same as usual, going to and from class, and living on the front line at 3 o'clock. Some things do not require him to appear personally, and naturally there are subordinates to do it. The royal family sent several masters over during this time, wanting to capture Yuanjie, but they were all repelled by Li Qing alone. After class, Li Qing summoned him to the office. Although the contradictions between you and the royal family are irreconcilable, I hope you will let go of this and stop going against it. Yuanjie lifted Erlang's leg and said, No, I think the dean should go and talk to that one, not with me. First of all, you have to make it clear, it's not me who wants to go against them. It's their royal family that started this war first. Li Qing suddenly said that Yuanjie was right. If it weren't for the royal family's paper and designation of the Zhao organization as a cult, the current situation would not have been formed. Dean, I have a shortcoming as a person, that is, I don't like to control my fate in the hands of others. Li Qing frowned. Could it be that you want to? Since you can establish yourself as a king, why do you want to be subordinate? Li Qing was stunned. He didn't expect that Yuanjie would have such an idea. But even if he succeeds, can he really manage the country well? He shook his head and said, You are my student, I admire you, but I don't want you to do this, Daksha. I can't help but be chaotic. The atrocities of the family have long been full of resentment, coupled with the influence of the spirit beast tied hundreds of years ago. Many people have been killed and injured. Today's Daksha is no longer as strong as it used to be. In the event of civil unrest, the Gentiles are likely to take advantage of the fire. Yuanjie just let out a soft breath, slowly stood up, and wrote 4 words on the blackboard in the office. Nope, break, nope, stand. Chapter 148. P.S. The surname of the imperial dynasty has been changed, and the Liu family has been changed to Xiang. The truth behind it is tearful. I originally held the idea of a dead and poor road immortal Taoist friend and wrote the villain of this family, but I was sprayed miserably by my family, woo-woo. Until Yuanjie left, Li Qing still stood in front of the blackboard and was silent for a long time. The 4 big words are sonorous and powerful, into the wood 3 points. The simple strokes reveal an extraordinary taste. The current Yuanjie is not a person of this dynasty, he has no fear of imperial power, and he will not compromise to be foolish and loyal to the royal family. In his opinion, whoever moves him, hit whom. There is no reason in the world, and when there are more reasonable people, I become the truth. What is my identity in charge of you? Even if it is the emperor, I will beat you down. Yuanjie had already gone out. He looked at his watch and thought to himself, it should be almost time. At noon on the second day after the contract was signed, millions of people gathered on the Royal Palace Avenue in the east of Jincheng. Their expressions are surprisingly consistent. In addition to anger, hate is not steel. The Xiangxi imperial dynasty, insulting the ancestors. Seated for glory, sinners of the great Xia dynasty. Da Xia is not from your family. It's the great Xia dynasty for all of us. Why do you arbitrarily advocate ceding the eastern and western islands to the Black Duck country and the Flying Eagle country? The 500,000-year history of the great Xia dynasty, the change of the imperial dynasty for 1,000 generations, has always stood to die, did not kneel to live. You guys did a great job. We were an eye-opener. The dirt on the history books of the great Xia dynasty will have a strong stroke of your Xiangxi, weak against the strong, snobbish on the weak. Really have you, conspire with each other, feint kun. Utter feint. Outside the palace, many guards don't know what to do. There are too many people who insult the royal family, even if they are caught one by one, there is no place to close. Is it difficult? Still shooting? Emperor Xiang Maofeng stood on the star-picking tower, looking at the gate of the palace from afar, densely packed with ordinary people. His face was not very good. The signing of unequal treaties was done by the public servants first, and he only learned later. However, the great Xia dynasty national seal had already stamped on it, indicating that the treaty had entered into force, and if he repented again, the consequences would be much more serious than now. Your Majesty, a scantily dressed woman came up to him affectionately and wrapped her arms around her chest. Concubine, what's wrong? Are you crying again? Your Majesty, it's not good for the slave family. If it weren't for helping the slave family avenge the revenge, how could your Majesty fall into such a predicament? The middle-aged man grabbed a wave fiercely, and said calmly, don't be afraid of the concubine, you have your own way. He has a fard method. He doesn't even know 99.9% of the officials in the court. He only knows 4 people in the entire court 365 days a year, only clocked into work for less than 100 days, and most of the rest of the time was immersed in the deep palace. What to do, what to play, everyone understands. In fact, he was not as complicated and scheming as Yuanjie thought. It's just a simple covetousness for beauty, neglecting the imperial government, and most of the concubines in his palace are women from the family. The family is the royal family and the state, and it is reasonable to control the imperial court. With this delicate relationship, the royal family wants to rectify any family that is not in line with the law of etiquette. Just don't care about it all. Anyway, the emperor has fun. Now concubine Zhou, who is beside him, is one of his favorite women at present. Chongguan was furious. He felt that he was not doing anything wrong. What kind of organization? You dare to oppose the imperial court? Your Majesty, they are so noisy. The slave family is not interested. Concubine Zhou picked up the robe that slipped on her shoulders and said softly like water. The middle-aged man smiled and said, okay, well, then kill them all. Don't let the pariahs spoil the mood of the beauty. Your Majesty, if you do this, you won't get into cause and effect, will you? Concubine Zhou's face tightened, and her softness gently pressed on the middle-aged man's chest. Su is the son of heaven of a country, the destiny of heaven. Even if the Dao sees Su on this day, he must bow down. There is nothing to be afraid of as a mere mortal. After that, the middle-aged man sent out an oracle and pounced. Suddenly, Changning Palace seemed to return to spring, everything revived, ready to move, and it was time again. Outside the palace, the forbidden soldiers looked at this oracle in disbelief. What? Kill them all? Many soldiers had a little shaky hands. This is millions of people, and they are all compatriots. How can they get their hands on it? Many people never imagined that one day they would turn their weapons on the people they had always wanted to protect. So, some of the Praetorian soldiers dropped their guns and turned to leave. Captain, you find someone else. Anyway, I Zhang San can't do it. I Zhao Si can't do it. I bought a watch last year. Lao Tzu will no longer serve this kind of faking. The commander of the Horse Forbidden Army also blushed, and he ran to the front of the palace division. The former division of the palace is a royal clan relative, and they are more loyal to the emperor than ordinary people. After all, they are family. Li Uzing, you stop. What are you doing? Li Uzing directly took out a snatch from his pocket, pressed it on the table and yelled, I won't resign now, I tell you. You get down on your knees and beg me not to come back. In the office, Others looked at the quarrel over there inexplicably, and someone stood up and persuaded, "Wake up, brother, don't be impulsive." The former division of the palace frowned and said angrily, "Li Uzing, do you think this place is a vegetable market where you want to stay and leave?" "Report, Brother Fifin, the palace has regulations. You can take the initiative to apply for resignation. The palace also has a rule that subordinates are not allowed to talk back to their superiors." "Report, Brother Fifin, I'm not talking to you now, I'm reasoning with you." The former division of the palace took up his weapon and shouted at Li Uzing, "I am your boss. I said that what you said is not reasonable. It is not reasonable. I said that you are talking back is talking back. I command you now. You return to your post and raise your gun to do your duty. You shall say loudly in front of everyone, 'Long live the Emperor.' If I can't hear it, I have to say it again, and if I can't hear it again, I have to keep talking, until I hear it." Li Uzing gritted his teeth and forcibly held his breath. He took the pistol handed over by Brother Fei Fan and turned to leave. After walking 2 steps, turning back is a shot to end the life of the other party. Dog Emperor, bang bang bang, a few more shots, take out all the royal clansmen in public. At this time, a group of forbidden troops rushed out of the door and followed him. "Brother Xing, what is the point of us continuing to work when you leave? We also resigned together and stopped working." Blood splattered, scared a group of civil servants in the office to death. "What's going on? What's going on today? Why did the Forbidden Army start to rebel one by two? Moreover, such a big contrarian word, is it really what a soldier should say?" The forbidden troops stationed in front of the palace, one by one, dropped their guns and left their posts after receiving the order to shoot and kill the civilians immediately. Some of them even blended into the crowd and joined the parade that joined the people in denouncing the Dog Emperor. At this time, a royal great evening realm expert soared into the air, and he muttered with an icy face, 1, 2 or 3 uncivilized pariahs, if you don't appreciate the Emperor's mighty grace, you actually dare to insult the Holy Lord and question what the Imperial Court has done. It's just ignorance. Today, I will take you for this day." Chapter 149. A powerful energy visible to the naked eye is accumulating power in the hands of royal masters. The civilians below sensed it and turned around and ran away. They just came over to say hi, they really didn't think about rebellion. Bang! With one shot, thousands of lives will be harvested. The crowd of demonstrations suddenly fell into panic. "Run, run. The royal family kills." I'm still in the mood to scold them, not running yet. I wanted to run too, but the front was blocked. If you block it, step on it. Dog life matters. The royal master watched the ants under his feet in mid-air running away in a panic, and he laughed heartily. He enjoyed the feeling of being in charge of the life and death of others, so he continued to charge with strength. The next shot, he's going to come big. In the rear, there were forbidden soldiers shooting at him, and with just a wave of his hand, all the bullets fell to the ground. Thermal weapons like guns are actually useless to masters above the Great Lake realm and do not pose a threat at all. Thermal weapons are only useful for fighting spirit beasts, and if you want to deal with the strong, it is whimsical. The royal master narrowed his eyes. He first killed the untouchables, and then turned back to get a gang of anti-bone boys. The condensation of spells that were more powerful than just now was completed, and many ordinary people turned pale and unfocused. Am I going to die? Just when the spell was about to hit the ground and explode, it was blocked by a mysterious force and could not advance for half a point. Ordinary people can even feel the huge burning sensation of the spell. Spicy heavenly plug, Shinra Shianzheng, a man with a white mask in auspicious clouds and black robes suddenly appeared in the crowd, and Shinra Shianzheng bounced the spell away and exploded the red palace wall in front of him. Zio. It was the Zio organization that came to our rescue. The crowd cheered, and they knew that Zio would definitely be on their side and would not give up on them. Even if the government convicts him as a cult, ordinary people are not all fools, they have their own judgment. Since the birth of the Zio organization, what one thing has it done that has not been very happy? The family has been rampant for hundreds of years, and no one in the national government and the academy dares to stand up to them head-on. Finally, a new organization has stepped forward. Justice for them. Your royal family convicted people without adducing any evidence. Who will be convinced? Instead, they became more sympathetic to the organization. In this troubled world, only Mings can lie for a long time, and Zio, what are they for? Dare to fight with behemoths. Will this dim world really bring a glimmer of light because of Zio? When the organization announced its members, they were even more tearful. They are all worldly civilians with no background and no power just like us, and this is our own organization. Yuanjie appeared at this point in time, just right, which can be said to be full of people's emotions. Zio. Dawn. Dawn. Behind Yuanjie, there was a wave of sound after wave. It was everyone was supporting him. Yuanjie is now an 8th order cultivator of the fusion realm, and he immediately opens the 600-meter Susanoo. The cyan blue color shrouded all civilians in the rear and protected them. The blue giant drew his sword and slashed at the royal master. The powerful sword ki even destroyed all the palaces outside the palace. The rebel forbidden army who shot at the royal masters just now was fine, and they were ejected by Yuanjie's Shenluo Xians hang together. That's seconds? One sword, no need for a second sword at all. The royal masters turned into ashes in the air, and they didn't even have time to scream. What's going on? In the Changning Palace, two shadows stopped moving. Your Majesty, the Earth Dragon has turned over. The middle-aged man touched her hair and said, "It's impossible. There have never been natural disasters in Jingcheng, only man-made disasters." He didn't have time to get dressed, so he stood directly by the window and looked out, and he saw a blue-winged giant. He was instantly frightened. Screaming escort. 3 royal masters broke into the Changning Palace, and before they had time to appreciate the majesty of the middle-aged man, after receiving the order, they immediately flew towards the blue giant. It's really not interesting. Hulua saved Grandpa, one by one to send to death. Yuanjie then shook his head boredly. Before the 3 great Evening Realm royal masters flew in, Yuanjie stretched out his right hand and grabbed the void. A few cut antennas. The buildings outside the palace suddenly cracked, and even the magnificent city gates began to disintegrate, one after another, flying towards mid-air. For a long time, a huge moon suspended in mid-air outside the palace. The palace is huge, with thousands of acres, several times larger than the territory of the Zhou family. A giant moon with a diameter of 10,000 meters, but it seems a little small. The royal family listens to me. This is Zio, a meeting gift for you. No thanks. If you don't convince, I'll send another big one another day. After speaking, the blue giant disappeared between heaven and earth, and the invisible oppression suddenly disappeared. Yuanjie bid farewell to the civilians behind him one by one. Yuanjie didn't know when she appeared beside him, and she frowned and asked, "Why didn't you destroy them cleanly and directly?" Yuanjie smiled. "Sister, don't be in a hurry first," I said. "Wait for the bullet to fly for a while." Now in the territory, the reputation of the royal family is completely stinking, but there are other places. Yuanjie was stunned. Somewhere else? If you want to rebel, you have to be foolproof. Yuanjie left this sentence and left. What Yuanjie has to do next is to improve his strength. As long as his strength reaches the Great Evening Realm, the next step is to knock on the group of 2 or 5 children of the Saga Alliance. The family, which seems to be subservient to him at present, is actually more subordinate to interests. Once you are in charge, it is bound to weaken the existing power of the family, and you will also jump the big cut on the price of the property. At that time, what if the interests of them are violated? What should they do if they resist? There is only one way to do it, and that is to make them feel deeply desperate and no longer have any intention of resisting. Now his cultivation is only in the 8th order of the fusion realm, and there is still a gap of 2 orders from the Great Late Realm. Soon, take advantage of this time, continue to add firewood to the fire. In Yuanjie's view, the so-called royal family is worse than the family. The family at least has a nominal alliance. Unless it involves the fundamental interests of the 3 major families, and other small things can be helped. And the royal clan is complicated. There are many princes and kings scattered in various places, and the current emperor is conspiring with each other, and the general trend has disappeared on the bright side. This group of them must have ideas. Then let them fight among themselves first. Yuanjie returned to the desolate ancient academy, but saw Li Qing coming. "Dean, what's the matter with me?" Li Qingxie hesitated for a long time before saying, I want to join you, okay. Chapter 150. Dean Li Qing's words made Yuanjie whole. In his inherent impression, isn't Li Qing a die-hard fan of the imperial dynasty? However, he didn't ask much. He knew that since Li Qing had made this difficult choice, it must have gone through a particularly cruel psychological struggle. He won't want to expose people's scars. Li Qing didn't say why, and after getting Yuanjie's nod, he walked back to the office with his own care. His back at this time is a little awkward. After all, it is a belief that has been broken for many years, and for a 500-year-old, it is cruel. After going back, Li Qing immediately released the news and announced that he had joined the Xiao Organization. At the same time, the Earth God King of the Six Dao Academy announced his retirement and no longer participated in the disputes of any forces. At this point, the Xiao Organization unexpectedly absorbed most of the gods of the old academic school, which is embarrassing. Who would have thought that this would be the result? A new organization with no name has become so powerful in a short period of time. Only the three major families of the Saga Alliance are sneering, "You don't understand the real power at all." Xiao's truly terrifying combat power is the nameless person behind it, that is, Yuanjie's two SSS-level girlfriends. In the palace, Emperor Xiang Mao Fang threw things in the room, incompetent and furious. When did the royal family experience such a humiliating thing? That white-masked man in the Xiao Organization not only severely damaged the palace gates, even demolished the peripheral buildings beyond recognition. This is not all, even the four great late realm masters sent by the royal family were all singled out by him. Or in front of so many ordinary people. Where is the imperial power? Where is Dui? Where is the dignity of the Aoshi? Xiang Mofding's eyes were red, and he looked fiercely in the direction of the desolate ancient academy. Yuanjie, Yuanjie, and Li Qing, I want you to die. July fire, August Weiyang, September clothing. The autumn breeze gradually became cold, and there was a hint of coldness. The Chongyang festival of this world is coming. The incense of the people became rich, and the common people began to return to their original lives. After all, what the Xuang's royal family does is a bit of a nest, but it doesn't affect their own lives. Everyone should farm the field, go to work when they should go to work, and lie flat when they should lie flat. Close your eyes and be indisputable to the world. However, just one day before the last tale of September, Wan Ninghao of French City declared an uprising against the Dark Lord. The situation in the country of the Great Xiong dynasty suddenly became tense. The Huangfu family continued to maintain the gossip of war correspondence and convey first-hand information about the war situation to the general public. The Yuan family, the largest family in French City, announced its support for Wan Ninghao. It's bad, French City declared its independence today. This is the second largest city in the Great Dynasty Kingdom. The national government urgently summoned the armed forces and quickly went to the Tassel town to press. The national army has arrived at the outskirts of French City, and the two sides have engaged in a fierce battle. The battle situation is very tragic, and there are casualties on both sides. Shocked. Both sides actually sent a number of Great Evening Realm masters. The decisive battle in the Great Evening Realm is terrifying. Who killed the deer? The Guofu army is defeated. Retreat to 300 miles away. Night attack. Latest battle situation. Wanting how a rebel army captures the general of the national government. Real-time battle situations brushed the screen on the internet, and countless people paid attention to this matter. The Huangfu family also sent a high-ranking god with superb strength, carrying a camera on his back to broadcast the war footage throughout the whole process. Yuanjie watched with relish. After all, this kind of scene is rare. Brother, which of them do you think will win? Xiao Nan tilted his head and asked him. Yuanjie thought for a while, and smiled indifferently. Wan Ninghao's strength is far less than that of the royal family. Look at it, he can win at home. Once he leaves French City, he will lose. The most important thing is that the two high-ranking gods of the Yuan family have actually never made a move, and there is a high probability that they will not make a move. They just came to witness history, and they didn't really fight. The Yuan family did not join the Saga Alliance, but another super family that was independent. The Yuan family controls the grain lifeline of the entire Daxiang imperial dynasty, and if it is about strength, it is not comparable to the Huangfu family, but compared to the Wang family and the Yu family, it is more than enough. Sure enough, as Yuanjie expected, Wan Ninghao's rebel army, once it left Liusu city for 10,000 kilometers, began to collapse. Not in armaments and food supplies, but in strategy. The generals under the royal family still have two brushes, mainly exercising outside the border for many years, and they understand a lot of commotion routines while fighting. And Wan Ninghao's command is a dry duck, full of reading military books, but only on paper. This uprising was huge, but it was also cool quickly, and it didn't take 3 days to disappear directly. The citizens of the Daxiang imperial dynasty, for the first time in hundreds of years, saw the masters of the national government dispatch. Only then did they know that the strength of the original national government in the territory was so strong. It turns out that they are not unable to beat the family, but they do not want to fight and do not want to fight. I originally thought that I could stand up for a battle, but I didn't expect it to cast a haze over the national government. More and more ordinary people began to resent the royal family. Since you are so strong, even the troops gathered by Wan Ninghao and the Yuan family, the largest family in Liusua City, can make them perish in 3 days. What about the various families before that? Why don't you shoot? So, such a sentence circulated on the internet. It turns out that the death of tens of millions of people does not threaten your imperial power. Understand, after all, we are not worthy. In the face of the family, I only promised, and in the face of the uprising, I struck hard. Now, there is only 1 week left until the Mid-Autumn Festival ding. In order to celebrate the autumn season, the system has launched the sale of Knowing the Autumn gift pack. Please enter the temporary mall by yourself to purchase as appropriate. Please consume rationally. Yuanjie's face was overjoyed. Looking forward to the stars and the moon, and finally gave this Super Money Pit project to look forward to. Why did he feel a little excited? He entered the Kamui space and checked his balance. When he destroyed 8 small families before, he sold his territory and property to the Wang family and the Yu family, and each family sold for an average price of 500,000 gold spirit coins, and the last 2 even increased their price to 700,000 gold spirit coins because they saw Susa's shot. In other words, just exterminating the 8 small families of the clan allowed Brother Ji to earn 4.4 million gold spirit coins. The territory and property of the Zhou family have not yet been reasonably distributed by the Wang family and the Yu family, and they have completely taken over, so the balance has not yet been paid. However, a few days ago, the Huangfu family took the initiative to show goodwill, and 2 of the 10 space rings were filled with gold spirit coins, a total of 2 million. If you do the math, the Extinction family is really profitable. It seems that he will run out of money in the future, so he will find a random family to destroy it, and then let the 3 major families take over and give himself a little hard work. Now he has become a super nouveau riche, and he is worried that he has money and nowhere to spend. With this in mind, Yuanjie returned to reality and re-entered the system mall. Golden Autumn gift pack, each priced at 100,000 gold spirit coins. He couldn't see what was inside each bag, but there was a line of small print next to it. Buy 10 sets or more and give away rare costumes and super divine weapon optional gift boxes. Buy 12 sets and give away the title of Chosen One. Yuanjie, I specially put this to play DNF, right? However, he has money now, isn't it 1.2 million gold spirit coins? Sprinkle water, little problem. Don't even look at what's in the pack. Pull straight up. When he finished buying it, when he checked the backpack, he couldn't help but gasp. Good guys, this wave is a super big boost. I earned. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.